Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Shanti Bloom. How are you all doing today? Wherever you are tuning in from, I hope you're having a great day. I'm excited for another live stream for us to talk purpose. And today we're going to be talking purpose and friendships. We're going to be trying to answer the question, why am I losing friends? Why am I losing friends? Is it me or is it the other party? And the issue of losing friends is something that I think it's so common. I've heard that statement made so many times, or it's made so much often in recent times. You hear, I'm losing friends, or I don't even have friends, or I think I have fake friends. People even say, I don't really care, about friendships anymore. Can we really find true and real friends in today's day and time? So, having all those questions, I felt that there is a need for us to dig deep to find out why. Why is that so common in today's day and time? Knowing how important friendships and relationships are, we know that studies have shown that it is people who have healthy friendships, relationships with their family, with their friends, with their community. They with surrounded by a lot of support. They tend to live healthier lives, satisfying lives, and they've even said, longer lives. So if that's the case, if that's how much friendships benefit us, why are we not having friends? Why are we losing them? Why do we feel like we are surrounded by a crowd and yet we feel so lonely? So it would be nice for us to look at that today. And I am so blessed to be able to do that today with some amazing, amazing ladies in the house today. So here they are. Welcome, beautiful ladies.
You. Thank you.
Welcome in, welcome in.
Thank you for having
Yep,
us.
I'm glad to have you guys too. So before we go ahead for you guys to introduce yourself briefly, I want to just welcome those who are here with us in the chat. Welcome. If you are watching us, please just shout a hello, a hi, a hello in the comment. And you can even tell us where you are tuning in from. That would be nice. I already have Snow Gamma here. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's morning for me, but maybe a different time for you out there. So please do let us know in the comment section below or in the chat that you're here listening to us. And if there's any issue you're not hearing any of us or that, also let us know in the comment section below. So I'm going to start with you, Cynthia. Tell who is Cynthia?
Okay, nice to be on the show, Shanti. Thank you for this opportunity. Hello to everyone who is following the show, and I pray you're going to be blessed. This is Cynthia Mbu, Arunian, residing in Pretoria, South Africa, and I am a pastor's wife. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Unifa,
Thank you.
Unifa. And I, a little bit about you.
Oh, hi everybody. Shan, thank you so much for bringing us live on this show. It's really a pleasure for me, and I'm hoping that someone is gonna learn something and maybe change something in their lives or maybe improve something. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, in the United States, and I am a mother of two and a registered nurse and an
Great.
evangelist. I shouldn't forget that.
Yep. Yes. And Nasi.
This is Nasi Anong, all the way from Douala, Cameroon. A business person into diverse business
Mhm.
opportunities and a mother and a wife.
That's my business lady right there. And last but not the least, the pretty Mildred.
Oh, hi everybody. Thank you so much, Chantal, for making me part of this great, great set of women to discuss this very important topic that we all have some kind of idea about. Every one of us know that friendship is important, and we've all had issues with friends. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay. Thank you all so much. I'm honored to have you ladies here. And we all go way, way back. I decided to pull you out because we share very different relationships. My friendship with you guys is very diverse. It's different because I really wanted us while here to see that we can share different friendships at different levels and still make it so beautiful and get so much out of it. And I'm so honored to have you all here. We have Mommy Mirabelle is in there. Hello, Shant. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for being here, Mommy. Hey, Case Cook Island. Hey, Midred. Good to see you. Hello from Belgium. Yes, she's signing in from Belgium. Tikumdi Tilda. Ooh. Hello, I'm Tilda, and in Maryland. Welcome in, Mama. Welcome in. And we have Kina Free Creation. Yep, she has her hand up there saying hello. Welcome in. Akwi Sidoni. Hello, ladies. Sidoni from Cameroon. Hey, Sidoni.
Hello, Sidonia.
Inspire you. Thank you so much. And I know that so many people are equally going to get inspired from this live here today. So again, if you're just coming in, we are looking at why am I losing friends? Why am I losing friends? And I feel that this is a topic to bring up because, by the way, if you're new here, my name is Chantal Gila, and here on Shanti Bloom, I share applicable principles and simple practical steps that will help us, to pursue our dreams, identify our purpose, pursue our dreams from a place of clarity and balance. Because I believe in a holistic approach, to pursuing our dreams in life, and that's why I brought a topic like friendships because a lot of people have achieved so much, but then of what use is that if you are not sound mentally, emotionally, spiritually? And that's why I believe that if we're going to even talk about purpose, we cannot keep out friendships and relationships out of them. So thank you all again so much for being here. Now let's dive straight into what we are all here for. And I would just like to, first of all, ask before we go into it, it's good that we should just have an idea. What does friendship mean to you? What does friendship, when we talk about friendship, what comes to your mind? Because you'll be surprised that there are people out there who may still even be defining friendship the wrong way. And maybe that alone can even be the reason why, some friendships are not working if you don't even know what a thing is. So, in your opinion, what does friendship mean to you? Mildred, let me start with you.
Well, for me, I there's so many definitions of friendship, right? But for me, one particular thing that I define friendship is a friend is somebody that hurts when you hurt. You know, is happy when you're happy. A friend is somebody that you mutually share the same values or have the same outlook in life. And a friend sometimes is even closer than a brother, than a blood brother or sister. So a friend is your confidant, somebody that you trust and you confide in. So to me, that's what a friend is.
Beautiful. I love that one of,
Wow.
being heart to heart, somebody that, you're confident. I love that. Cynthia, what about you? What does friendship mean to you?
Um, I'll define a friend as that vital relation that God brings into your life to help you be who you're supposed to be and accomplish what you're supposed to accomplish. So I think a friendship is very pivotal in you achieving a lot of what God has, assigned for you in life. So that's how I see a friendship.
Yeah, beautiful. I think that's another very important attribute of friendship. The fact that they they're there as helpers, and they're also there, if I'm hearing you clearly, they're like a mirror. You see who you are as well. They're there to help you in whatever that you're doing. So they are part of you. I love that aspect of that attribute about
Mm.
friendship. Yeah, and Nasi, anything to add on what friendship really means to you?
Yeah, I think friendship is needed companionship. It goes beyond just acquaintances. It goes beyond regular classmates, regular workmates. It's a deeper association with somebody which is intentional. When I think of friendship, I think of belonging. It's
Mm.
an it's a determined relationship. Yeah.
You used two keywords there that are so beautiful. It's determined. So there's intentionality in it. There's
Yeah.
devotion in it, and you also made mention about the fact that it's somebody you know beyond just an acquaintance. If I just meet
Yeah.
somebody on Facebook and I'm following them, I can't say that's my friend in
Mm.
terms of friendship. You have to know them. There's some
Mm-hmm.
intentionality in that friendship.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see that more as we go along because there is so much that has to be put in friendship. So, and it goes all the way to say, add to some of the things, attributes that mom brought up about, you know, someone who is a friend, it comes right deep there in the heart. Those are great attributes of friendships that you guys are bringing up. Let's see what I has to tell us about friendships.
Honestly, when I think of friendship, I think of drama in my head. I think of long term. There's a reason why I say drama. I think of long term. I think of reciprocity. It has to be both ways. But there's good, there's bad, and there's ugly in a friendship.
Mm.
But what's important for me is the fact that after all of that experience, because you can't say I'm a friend to this person, because I like all those attributes that everyone has given, that sounds positive. But there's also another side of a friendship. It's not always pleasant. So despite all of that, a friend is someone that we've gone through stuff, the good, the bad,
Mm.
the ugly, and at the end of the day, we can still come together and have mutual respect, mutual love, mutual understanding, and respect
Mm.
each other's boundaries, even if you don't share that same idea with me, or you don't agree, but there's that respect. You have to go
Mm.
through with me for me to qualify you as that. So
Mm.
that's how I define it.
That's
So
so beautiful.
Wow.
has to be history. We have to be in. It's a marriage, a friendship for me.
Mm.
Don't you all ladies agree?
Exactly.
Oh, but for real, it is.
Yeah, and I think the reason why, honestly,
Definitely.
sorry, I think the reason why at times we have that side, you cannot have that drama, that up and down, if you don't share all the other things we mentioned. There
Hmm.
has to be that
Mhm.
mutual. It's because of, I love the word you use,
Mm.
long term. Friendship is something long term. And
Hmm.
anything that is long term means that time has been invested in it, emotions have been invested in it. If you hear what Cynthia, Mildred, Nasi, they put on, all those things you guys were saying, it takes a lot of from you to put all of that in a friendship. And that is why we equally have the ups and downs about it. You
Hmm.
will not, if you walk by and somebody says
Mm.
something funny to you on the street, you may just be upset about it for 2 minutes and then you go your way. But if that thing came from somebody you have invested time and emotions and
Oh my
thinking,
God.
it hurts deeper. So
Yes.
the only reason
You'll be
why,
so
not when
different.
I say friendship is drama, the only reason why there's drama at times is because we have invested. I think one of the reasons why, we
Yeah.
we we kind of mix up friendship and acquaintances is when we don't have like this clear definition of what really a friend is. And then you're wondering why something is falling apart.
Exactly.
It's falling apart because that depth was probably not there. And so it's easier to just
Mm,
uproot that plant, right? So it's easier for us to just
Yeah.
yeah.
uproot the plant. Now, if this is what friendship is, it's all what we have said: mutual love and respect, dedication and support for one another, and making it two-sided, just being there for one another from the heart. What happens then that we start to lose friends? Am I the only one? No, let me just ask, have you guys maybe had seasons where you've lost friends, or over the years? You see, I see them already
Yeah, girl.
laughing, and sometimes
Yeah.
when we say lose friends, people think that it is just really, at times it's not even physical, eh?
No,
It's still there, but
Mm-mm.
they're gone.
they're
Yeah.
gone.
It's not
Leave
there anymore,
that.
you know
Yeah.
They're
so
truly gone.
have you
Mm.
experienced losing friends? Let me ask before we even go into
Oh yes.
furthermore.
Yes. Yes.
For sure,
Yeah.
we have lost lots of friends
Um.
along the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like Eileen
Mhm.
said,
Yeah.
drama is something that is very present in friendships, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a good thing actually, because if we don't get this drama, we will not really know who to pick and choose, who is a better friend from who is not. So drama is a good
Mm.
thing, and
Mm.
That's right.
I've lost friends in the most heartbreaking situation, like in things that you would sit back and look and just be like, wow, I can't believe we had to break this friendship for years over this thing. And it may look so little, but it's so big because it's deeper than that, you know?
Mm.
But
Mm. Mm.
God didn't call us to love everybody. God called us to love everybody, but He didn't call us to be friends with everybody.
Mhm.
You know? So you gotta get to the point where you there's some people you gotta love over there. Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
love
right.
you, but you're gonna be right there, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Cause right here, I'm protecting my peace, protecting my sanity, and I'm protecting my growth. And honestly, all that comes with maturity. You get to a
Mm-hmm.
point you pick and choose your friends, or you let some a certain type of people come into your life. You're selective and not just wanting a whole pack of girls
Mm.
and boys to be your friends. You're very selective, especially when you've gone through life experiences. Yep. So yeah, drama
Absolutely.
is I've lost friends.
Mm.
Yeah. And they're over there. I'm over here. And I'm okay with it.
I
But with
I'm
love.
Yeah.
laughing.
With love.
I recently had a situation. I recently had a situation happened to me. Someone I thought I found as friend, a sister, because friendships do progress. You move from friendship to family. That's how I see it. It gets that close. So I thought I had found this sister because we have been doing life together, and a misunderstanding came in from nowhere, and we virtually spoke like every other day. She's at work, she calls me, I call her, we run ideas, we bounce ideas off each other, and then a misunderstanding because of a message, of all things, a preaching. It's just a preaching. And I tell you, this woman shut the door. I kept knocking knocking on that door, reaching out, doing everything, but it's like, okay, ma'am, you stay out there. And I was left in the cold, and I didn't understand. Like, it worried me for some time, but I came to understand, okay, no problem, maybe I give it some time, and just let it be. So that's just one example from my life where I lost a friend, and I was so surprised and very shocked. Like, I mean, very, and I'm still shocked. So yeah, yeah,
For me,
it
one of
happens.
the reasons um, that I think we're losing friends or I lost friends. I like to speak from my experience because that's,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I know, and
Mm.
I'm naturally a people pleaser. That's my weakness, I love to please people. So in this season in my life, I call myself a recovering people pleaser, you know, and I am
Good
tired
job.
of
Wow.
recovering. I'm tired of recovering. I want to be healed and I want to be done with that side of me. So I
I
realized
Amen.
love
that
that.
I've been losing friends because I'm setting boundaries now. I'm setting
Mhm.
boundaries.
Mm.
I'm saying no. I'm
Mhm.
saying I don't have time. I'm saying, um, what about me too? Because I realize that I've extended myself so much and
Mm.
I'm not getting that back. And I know as Christians, we're not supposed to do stuff and expect it back. But I have to be truly honest how I feel about it because you cannot just have someone that is a liability to you and not an asset. you know you're
Absolutely.
just giving, you're giving and giving
Mm.
and giving, and I don't want you to give me to the measure that I'm giving you, but I want to feel like you're there too. I want to feel
Love.
like my issue is your issue. I want to feel like you
Mm.
have my back. So when you've given so much, you feel empty,
That's right.
Yep.
and you're just like, okay, what's going on here? Like, I'm there for you, but I don't see you. I have your back, but you're insta talking about me. So I realized that I have to say no. I have to say I don't have time anymore. I love you, but we're not gonna hang out
Mm.
anymore. I'm not gonna put you in my circle. If I see you, I'm civil with you. I give you a hug and I go my way.
Mhm.
And
Facts.
we're not sharing those deep conversations anymore because
Hmm.
those conversations only make you happy because somehow you love it when I'm down, you know? And so I'm losing friends right now because I've set that boundary. I drew a line, and I have three people or two people that are in that bubble with me, and I'm really happy with it. I'm not
Amen.
complaining. I'm fine.
Let the church
Mm.
say
I don't want
Amen.
to be recovering anymore. It's like I recover and I relapse and I go right back. I recover, I relapse, I go right back. Because what? I have a soft heart for people, I want to make people feel good. But sometimes
Mm.
you can't make everybody feel good. You just
it.
have to take care of yourself too.
Yeah, Eileen, and it
That's right.
becomes a very toxic
Mm.
circle.
Oh
Becomes
yeah.
really toxic.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't make
Mm.
people priority when you're just an option.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
I
Mhm.
said a
Mhm.
mouthful and a few things that I've pulled out from what you said that I want all of us ladies to kind of follow up on that. If I heard what pretty much all of you have said is the reasons, some of those reasons that we lose friends is that at times is that we ourselves grow, right? You say for so long you were people pleaser without even realizing it. So
Mhm.
you come to a place where you yourself
Mm.
have grown and have matured, and you're beginning to see a different way that relationship should be. You're beginning
Mhm.
to see that I shouldn't do
Mm.
something solely to please you. There is a difference between sacrificing and going an extra mile for somebody
Mhm.
from I'm doing
Mm.
this because I want to please you. I'm doing this because I'm afraid of your opinion or your reaction. I want to make you happy. It's
Absolutely.
it's it's a very it's
Mhm.
different from when I feel like, oh my God, this is a special person for me. I just want to go the extra mile for them. In this season, I have
Mm.
decided that I want to, just go, just stretch, for them. It's very different from being a people pleaser. So when you come to a place where you have matured and you're beginning to see that this is not how it is, when you go back, one of the things I shared in one video of mine about the pain of growth is that it's the pain of unlearning to retrain your brain
Mm.
again, to retrain your mind that, I don't have to do it this way. It's difficult even for you because you have said you relapse. Sometimes you tell yourself that, oh, I'm up, but then you go back again to it.
Yep.
You keep relapsing. So it will take time for you, but it'll also take time for those friends because it begins to look like what is wrong with her all of a sudden. But there's nothing wrong. You have just grown and seen now that you know what, I used to be a people pleaser. I don't want, which makes me a bad friend because being a people pleaser means you're dishonest. You're a fake friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now I want to be more honest with you, be the person that, a real friend, let you see me for who I am. That begins to be a problem, setting boundaries. If there's something also that you have said in there, is that one of the reasons is we lose friends is when you have friends that over time you realize that all the time they don't rejoice with you. Mom had mentioned that. I think even Cynthia mentioned that when they were defining friendship, they rejoice when over your sad news, right? Things like that. Over a while you begin to feel like, okay, so who is for me? I thought you're my friend, you're supposed to be for me. If you rejoice over my failure and then you gossip, gossip is another big one. Again, I am just kind of pulling out what you
Mm-hmm.
brought out so that I can ask some follow-up questions on that.
Yeah.
If I hear in all what you're saying is that we need to kind of set boundaries.
Yes.
I'm going to hear what all of us have to say, but I want to just ask this
Exactly.
question. Now, what about that person who is saying that? And I think this affects especially us in the Christian circle. Somebody will say, okay, boundaries is wrong. Boundaries means you're not loving people, you're cutting people off. You have this perseverance and endurance, and so how do we balance that? Because that's truth. Let me even see, I think I saw a comment here. Friendship is love, it's endurance, it's patience, it's goodness, it's forgiveness. And this is all true, and this is what's expected of us. So where do we balance this and boundaries, so that I know I've done a series on setting boundaries, the difference between it being a boundary and it being a wall, a big wall where you close even your own self from the outside world. Where do we find that balance? How would you help somebody who is torn, maybe because of their walk with God, to say, in setting boundaries, am I finding myself moving out from what God expects of me? What do you tell that person?
I think when I like for me when I meant I've drawn a wall, that doesn't mean that I don't care about you, because for me a friend is someone that I tell you the deepest things in my heart, you know. You are part of the family. That's a friend. Someone that I my confidant, someone that I pray with, someone that I will express my needs, those deeper things in me, So when I draw that boundary, of course I'm civil with you. Of course I'm still gonna love you. Of course I'm still gonna forgive you. But those things that are personal to me, I will not share those things with you anymore. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If something happens to you, of course I'm going to show up and condone with you. If you need prayer, yes, I'll pray with you. And sometimes you pray for people far away. You don't have to pray for them, face to face, So as a child of God, I'm not forgetting what I have to do with my neighbor, love your neighbor and, and do good to those who persecute you. Of course, I will do all of those things. But my innermost circle, I have to protect it because that's what makes me. So I will not share those with you anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, you see, Eileen, you're raising some very important points there. Because in friendship, there is something about choice, about intentionality.
Yes.
Remember, we're talking about friendship or purpose and friendship. So in life, you can't be friends with everyone, as we have already highlighted. So, by being intentional and choosing your friends, it doesn't mean that you are building a wall and you are rejecting other people. It simply
That's right.
means that you need a certain group of people who understand your journey, who can do life with you, and who you can move along with. You can't just carry every other person and move on with, because it's going to be like a kind of a parasitic relationship
That's right.
You need the strength, the mental strength, to move on. And when you have too many people draining you end up not even being able to take care of your own self. So intentionality is something that has to be considered, in friendship. Is something that we really need to look into, because even Jesus said, I call you friend. So he chose to. There were so many people around the ministry of Jesus, but there were few people in the Bible that we can see that Jesus said, this is Abraham, for example, Moses, for example, his disciples. He said, I no longer call you servants, I call you friends, because I have told you, what the Father has given me. So we need to really be intentional about this thing, and not to be roped, with guilt, not to be ridden
Thank
with
you.
guilt, to think that maybe we are looking at others, we're looking down on others. No, there is a measure of intentionality and choice that goes with friendship.
If I may add to that, I would say that you move along with people who carry your purpose, people who identify with you, people with whom you flow regularly and without any effort. There are some people that you put in a lot of effort to be able to make the friendship
Energy drainer.
successful.
Energy
Yeah,
suckers.
you find yourself constantly trying to check up on this person, trying to trim out certain things. Some people can really just drain you. So if you find people who are common in your vision, you navigate without any stress. So it will be easy for you to
Mm,
go along with those people without any stress, and picking up people who are going to be in so much stress and too many baggage to pull around with. Of course, you go for that which is not very demanding.
mm,
Um, for me, one everything you beautiful ladies talked about is spot on. One of the things I want to add is, as a believer, I used to struggle a lot with, should I keep them? Oh, I have to forgive. I have to, pray with them. I have to pray for them. I have to show love. I can't be the bad guy. No, I can't be the bad guy. God has called me to love. And it kept going for years. You keep taking abuse. You keep being you keep getting to that dark place where you're only living like a shell of yourself. You're not your true self. And the scriptures
mm,
that really helped me through my personal friendship journey, that I was able to handle, was, the Bible says, as far as it depends on you, be at peace with everybody.
with
But
all
it didn't
people.
call you to
Mm,
be friends with everybody. That scripture spoke to me. I
Mm.
wasn't called to be friends with everybody, but I was called to be at peace, to love people, but I don't need to be everyone's friend. The other part that, the other scripture that ministered to me in my personal journey was, guard your heart
Mm-hmm.
with every diligence.
Yes.
And
mm,
one of the ways of guarding your heart is being very protective of what you let come in. And as Christians listening to
mm,
this, we struggle with this. You have to guard your heart.
mm,
It's not just from a spiritual being, it's from a physical being too. To
Oh yeah.
guard your heart.
mm,
And most importantly, pick pick your friends and decide on who you want to deal with for the rest of your life, because your circle will determine your growth or your stagnation. Your
Thank you.
circle will
mm,
determine
mm,
your growth
mm,
or your
mm,
stagnation. You want to be stagnant, you can let
mm,
anybody come in your circle. If you want to grow, You can pick and choose who you want in your circle. So as a Christian, don't be caught up in that circle where you feel like you have to tolerate, be abused, be treated any type of way because you're trying to prove that you're a Christian. You have to grow. Even Jesus did not pick everybody to be the disciples. Just like the pastor's wife Cynthia said, it was a selected few. It was 12 disciples. But it didn't mean Jesus didn't love everybody. He loved everybody, but there were 12 disciples. So who are your disciples today? And are they truly serving you? Are they keeping you stagnant, or they making you grow? That's all I'm gonna say.
Rich,
Wow.
ladies. You guys are making me take a million notes right here. You've just poured so much. And in the comment section also, they are giving like some amazing comments and questions. I'm going to kind of read some of them out loud, everything out loud, actually, because some of them are so good that I want us to actually follow up on. But again, if I would say what I'm really hearing you all say, that one of the reasons why we are losing friends is that we're not defining friends. Because again, we're in a multitude of people, but instead of cutting people off, you just redefine. I always tell people that I just redefine. If before I used to say that you're A, and then I finally discovered that you're C, I just need to redefine you as C and treat you as C. And redefine this other person as B and treat them as B. And if this person is A, I treat them as A, and it's just redefining friendship. Imagine if I can't differentiate my husband from my brother. Do you know the chaos that can happen?
Yeah.
Suddenly, I don't know who my husband is from my brother, right?
That's right.
So I've defined it. This is my husband and this is my brother. So it tells me what my responsibility with my husband is and how we relate, and the responsibility I have with my brother and how we relate. I want to give that example so that people don't feel like I'm saying you should categorize people, some people more important than others. No, I'm just saying that relationships have a different dynamic.
Yeah.
And you flow according to that dynamic. It's not saying somebody is more important than the other.
Yes.
My brother is important to
Definitely.
me, it's my blood brother, but he's not my husband, and there are just certain things I would not do with him. My husband is my husband.
For sure.
I'm using
For
that
sure.
example to throw more light on what we mean by defining friendships and relationships. There are times that you have taken somebody and put in a category where they don't belong. And with time, when you discover it, you start feeling like you're losing friends. I love this comment that came in. It says, I have lost friends, and I'm also a friend someone has lost. Right? Because you are so we have to set our boundaries and also respect the boundaries of others as
Others.
That's right.
well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come to that later. I want us to also talk about times when we ourselves feel that we've not been the friends that we ought to have been.
I was just gonna talk on that if you
Yeah.
permit me, because I was like,
Yeah, go
can I
ahead. Go
say
ahead.
something?
Go ahead.
Because
Go ahead.
we have to speak on the other side too,
Yeah.
because we're not perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So,
Yeah.
comes to
there have been times that I didn't listen, I was caught up in my own life, and my friends were like, they were trying to bring me back, and I was just too, I was just too better than them, and I was not listening, and, and but thank God I realized the kind of friends I had, because I didn't lose them, but if I wasn't humble enough to sit and think, I would have lost my friends. I would have my friend actually, and I realized that there was a call for reconciliation, which that thank God that happened, and it's not everything that that she said that was right, but she drew my attention to something that I just thought, oh my God, you're judging me, how dare you judge me, how dare you. But sometimes your friends are not just the one that will just put sugar in your tea. No,
yeah.
your friends have to tell you the truth. They have to let you know how they feel about something, because I can't be your friend. Like, I'm complaining that I'm a people pleaser and I'm setting boundaries. Well, I'm your friend, right? So I have to tell you that I don't agree with what you're doing, and I feel like what you're doing is wrong. I respect you, but this is how I think about it. And you might not do what I am asking you to do, But if you want my opinion, I'm not gonna please you. I'm gonna tell you that you're wrong. And I
Mm-hmm.
did not like that. I was upset, but I, you know, but I realized that you have to listen because they love you and they have your back. And thank God, we're still friends today, and we talk about it now, and we just like, oh my God,
That's
like,
beautiful.
man. So
Okay.
sometimes you have to listen.
Mm.
You have to, even if you don't not,
Absolutely.
even if it doesn't feel good, because sometimes your friends are telling you what you already know, but you just want them to validate what
Mm.
you're doing. And when you have a good friend that does not validate it, ask God to humble that spirit and say, Lord, please.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel good, but I know she's right.
Yeah, it's true.
I you said something that's so beautiful. Let me read two comments here that kind of go up with that. We have actually the two I was saying from Mommy Tilda here. It says true friendships stand by you consistently, both when you are present and when you are not. True friendships are full of
Mm.
support and can offer a good laugh after a long day. Another comment that still matches says they answer you with empathy, perspective. You see, there's not just some critique. Because one thing I've seen also is people who never support you, they're not there. They've never even encouraged you, nothing. They're just waiting for the one
Mm.
time. I
You do
think
some wrong,
it's
girl.
tougher for you to accept that correction, even if it's true, especially when it's coming from somebody who has been standing from afar and watching and just waiting for you to make a mistake
Mm.
and show
Mm.
up, you know,
You know?
to tell you. So even
Mm.
though it's
Mm.
the truth, at times it's difficult for you to take it at that moment because you feel like, where have
Yeah.
you been all this time? Were you just waiting for me to fall or to
Thank you.
blunder? Then you rush now to come and tell me, So I think that
Mm.
that may be one of
Mm.
the reasons why at times we struggle to take critique. But whichever way, it's always good. My video, the last video I put up was about opinions. I said never be that person, and I think I really want us to bring this topic because, or this point because there are many people who also say, "Oh, I'm losing friends because they're envious of me. They don't want me." At times, it's not all envy. At times, some of those
Wow.
voices are true feedback.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
At times, some of those voices are true feedback, especially
Mm.
that coming from your inner circle, right?
True. True.
It
Mm.
would mix up. Let me tell you that times that 5, 10 people are saying the same thing, but there are three voices in that same thing that sound different because those are people from your inner circle. Those are people who are
Mm.
giving it with what? With empathy, like this comment says, there is perspective in it, there is honesty in it. They are not phony with you. They show you who they really are.
Mm.
That I've always said that friends should be able to be raw with you before you, but then be sweet about you in public. But many times it's the reverse. People want to praise you in
Mm.
secret, but when they're in the public, they don't want to identify with you.
Right.
You know, right? How about you sing those praises you're singing to me personally, openly, right?
Thank
So I
you.
think that what you were saying, I just thought I should read these comments because this one is also talking about being a loyal friend. But I also like to bring up a follow-up question on this. I don't know. There's so many comments here that we need to read and follow up on. People are pouring in a lot of comments. But there's a follow-up that I would like us to talk when it comes to this because it's something that I have also seen, and which is that thing of, again, we're talking about loyalty. But
Hmm.
there's a toxic kind of
Mm.
loyalty that also exists, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
That kind of
Mm.
friend who is
Mm.
like, you have to show me
Mm.
that you're
Mm.
loyal with
Mm.
me.
Mm.
You have to support me in
Mm.
everything. The moment you say something, you are not loyal. And at
Hmm.
times, I feel it's manipulation. That
It's
people
true.
Yeah.
who,
Mm.
that people that friendships that I'm tired of proving to you that I am for you. It's like I have to do everything to prove. They throw you all these manipulative, emotional comments. You were not. I have to answer every call to prove. I have to like every post you put up to prove that I'm with you. I have to, everything.
Mm.
I really have to prove my loyalty.
Oh,
At times I think that is manipulation, and that is not really loyalty. There's a word I'm looking for, but it's not coming to my mind that describes the difference between being loyal to somebody and just obeying like a sheep, right? You don't question anything that that person says. And the danger to this attitude is that at times it forms cliques because I have to be with you no
Yeah.
matter what.
no matter what.
And if I am supporting somebody that you're not supporting, then I'm automatically against you, right?
Yeah.
Like Facebook does
Mm.
friends of friends. There are people that in real life too, they
Mhm.
want to be friends of friends. Like you have to be friends of my friends and enemies of my enemies. No. You may be sitting here, and if you have an issue with Nasi, I don't have to have an issue with Nasi just
No,
because
you
you have an
don't.
issue with Nasi.
Your enemy don't need
So
to be
people
my
want to
enemy.
expect me to prove my loyalty to you by also having a problem with Nasi. I have to prove that. And that is why we have what I call Nicodemus friends. If you're watching
Ah,
here and you're not a Bible person, Nicodemus was somebody who saw Jesus and knew that, what, he has something that I need. I need to be born again. But if I identify with this person, what will my clique say? What will my clique say that I have finally to this person whom we have decided that we don't have anything to do with, right? So they choose to love you from behind, like that. They're
oh,
like Nicodemus friends. I'm going to
Oh yeah.
love you behind because from the public, I don't want anybody to know that I have anything to do with you. Nicodemus friends come from toxic loyalty. So I want to ask you guys, where do you draw that line? Does loyalty and being there for your friend, be there for me, does it mean that every single thing, what is loyalty in friendship? What is honesty? Like we saw this comment honesty. If I what is the difference between that and being phony? Can somebody just say something about that real quick, so that we can look at more comments?
What I would like to say is loyalty, to me, loyalty is reciprocal in any relationship we find ourselves. If you find that that person is controlling over you, that's no longer loyalty. Now you're finding yourself in a different situation. Loyalty in friendship is reciprocal. If, for example, I have to always be loyal to you during your occasions, during when you're down, I'm always there. And then when it's time for you to be loyal to me, you have excuses. Then there's a problem there in terms of loyalty. Or then you find excuses. Or you have insultive words or stuff you use to your friend behind your friend's back. That's not being loyal. Or you're coming in situations where you can't have that person's back when the person is not there. That's not being loyal to your friend. So those are things I would consider as not being loyal. In friendships, you have so many things. You can be competing with your friend, for example, and the friend even has no clue you're competing with that friend.
Yeah.
That's not being loyal to your friend. You find yourself in constant competition with somebody who is not even in competition with you.
Oh,
You know, that's not being loyal in friendship. That's you finding yourself in a toxic kind of relationship. Those are things you have flake on this. Some friends, when you talk about loyalty, they can be there for you in and out. But when you have problems, they are unreliable, their numbers are not going through. There are some friends, when you have problems, you can call them at any moment. They can call you at any moment and be sure that they are going to get to you. But if you can bet that you have some friends that did they say, okay, I'm going to call you tomorrow. It's as good as keeping your phone away because that phone call is not going to come.
You're talking to me now, Nas.
I wasn't talking to you. I was just looking at situations. There are some people who can say that, okay, I'll have your back in this situation. If you say stand here, it means that you should go because for you, he's not coming back. He is not coming back. Oh, there's some means he's not loyal in your friendship. You can stand there the whole day and grasp for the, like you say, it's going to grow on your feet because it's not going to come back. Or there's some people, these are friends who are not loyal. That's disloyalty in friendship. Or some people who always, okay, I beg, just lend me 2,000, I beg, just 2,000. Next time, I beg, just 5,000, I beg, this one bad, 5,000. But when you want just maybe, let me not even say in terms of finances, maybe you just want the presence to be there. Can you just sit for me while I have my daughter at hospital? You have all excuses. There's a lot of disloyalty in friendships. That's when you get to know that this person is toxic and needs readjustment, or let's say, regrouping, as you're saying it, not putting them where they should be, but trying to, rearrange or put them where they should be in friendship. So I think that that's where disloyalty comes in, or where you have friends who are kind of bossy. They want to boss you around, even about your own stuff. They want
Hmm.
you, but when it comes to their own stuff, they don't want to be loyal. Those are disloyal kinds of friendships. So I think that's where we draw the line between disloyalty and friendship. That's what I can say.
Beautiful, Nas. I love the way
Yeah,
you have just dug into
yeah,
that topic of disloyalty. Yes, Cynthia.
yeah. I just wanted to chip in something quickly as well. When we are talking about loyalty, we're talking about principles. There cannot be any loyalty in a friendship when you don't share the same principles. You know, So if somebody you call a friend or who calls you a friend, but you have completely different principles of life, you can't do life together. You really cannot do life together because it is like a north pole of a magnet. So all what you're going to do is repel each other at the end of the day. So when you want to talk about loyalty, the test of loyalty is going to be in the joint principles that you share. So that's why it's very important that we should be intentional about our friendships, as I said, because if you are not intentional, you are going to find yourself with people you don't share the same principles with, and then when they act out on what they believe to be the principles of friendship to them, it's going to appear as being disloyal to you because you don't share those same principles and values. So principles and values are the tests, of true friendships, those you journey with, those you do life with. So I just said I should chip that in quickly.
Yeah, can two walk together unless they agree? You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm,
you guys are bringing out just so many things. I think we're already into a question I was going to ask you guys. We've talked about um, so many of those reasons why relationship drift, why they fall apart. We've seen where the fault at times is the other party and where it is us, but in all, I'm seeing like the greatest, one of the biggest reasons that keep coming up in all what I hear you guys say and what is coming up in the comments is the aspect of toxic friendships. And I think we have
mm,
been bringing out what makes a friendship unhealthy and toxic. I think what we're saying is showing that that is the main thing that is drifting people apart. Why people are beginning to feel like I am losing friends is that aspect of toxic. So before we get maybe into the next thing, I would like to ask that if we can just quickly, like very quickly, one or two, or just point out what are those signs of a toxic friendship, or how do I know if somebody's out there, that how do I know I'm in a toxic friendship? We've already talked so many things about it. How can I know that I'm in a toxic friendship? What are some of the characteristics of a toxic friendship? But before that, let me just give a shout out again to a few people who are here. I think I'd already read that already. Happy New Month, everybody. And I would also want to plead with us in the comment section below that if you're enjoying this and it is blessing you, please give this a thumbs up, give this live a thumbs up, and you can share it so many more people can join in. And please do be ready with your questions. There's actually a question here in the comment section below, which I'm going to ask later so that we can answer them. So I just wanted to address the chat. Thank you all for your comments that are pouring in. I'm seeing them. I'm reading them. Some of you have questions. We're going to get to those questions. And please thumbs up the video so that YouTube is going to push it out to many more people who are going to join us here. You said something
Mm-hmm.
about the toxic stuff, which is about the pain it feels inside for a friend. I'm just saying we're still on this topic. Let me just bring
Mm-hmm.
that out. When somebody is telling you the truth. And again, like we said, it should come from somebody who has been a loyal friend to you.
Yeah.
Even just today, I had someone, beautiful sister of mine, call me to point out something. And like Eileen said, that sometimes it's something you already know. When they were pointing out something that I was already aware of, it's something that has been like eating me up recently. But you see, this is someone who loves praise, and we just share such beautiful depth of things. And so I actually knew her. So it ended up just being a laughing kind of conversation. And you're not afraid to be vulnerable with somebody like that. And like I said in the last video, if you're going to label everybody who wants to give you positive feedback as an envious person, a hater, then you end up being surrounded by people pleasers, people who only say, and then you will not grow.
Yep.
One of the reasons why friendships are falling apart are because some people just don't want to grow. They don't want anybody who's going to tell them the truth. And so they cut off everybody who wants to tell them the truth. But then the flip side of it too is that you lose friends with people who all the time they only want to kind of, talk bad about you, only point out. It's not even as if it's constructive criticism or feedback. They just want to down you and make you feel like there's nothing good that can come out of you. That can also be a struggle and make people to fall out. So quickly, what are some of the characteristics of a toxic friend? We've already put out a lot of quite a number of them. What are more that you can think about now, even from your own experiences, toxic friendships?
If you're
Well,
not
if I
able
can,
to
Oh, sorry.
okay.
oh no, go ahead.
All right,
Okay,
if I may just add to
yeah.
what I said earlier, a toxic friend or someone who is toxic is people who make you do what you wouldn't normally do if you were on yourself. When you're in that company, you find yourself doing probably just the opposite of who you should be. I would call those people bad influencers. Maybe when you're with them, you find yourself, maybe for example, you don't take alcohol, and in their company, you will need to take alcohol. That should be a toxic friend to you. Or if you find yourself, let's just say, they say, show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. If, for example, you are in this company of people and, for example, they are doing drugs or smoking cigarettes, mind you, me, if the Lord is not on thy side, you will you will find yourself doing all of that. So I would say that toxic friends could be bad influences to you in your life. And if you're not comfortable in any space and time in that person, in whatever they're doing, when you're together with them, then you need to rethink your relationship or your friendship, in quote, to that person. So that's what I would like to say while I give the floor to the other ladies to think, to say what they think.
Okay, before we go to I, you just said something there that I would like to follow up on. It goes back to the aspect of boundaries. And
Oh
again,
yeah.
it goes back to something Cynthia said about principles and values.
Oh
If
yeah.
you set boundaries and then you surround yourself with people who don't respect them, and who,
Mm.
there are people who don't respect boundaries, or there are people who cross boundaries because they don't see them. But there are some people who see that boundary and they will push
You
that
don't
boundary. I
push it.
recently saw a quote where it says that
Yeah.
when somebody moves your boundary, that when somebody comes and is threatening to move your boundary, don't move the boundary, move them. So if you have set boundaries and you have your principles and values in life, but then you're surrounding yourself with people who are always making you do what you don't want to do, making you go against your values, your principles, making you compromise your boundaries that you have put, then that person is toxic, especially if they know it, because sometimes we also don't make our boundaries clear and then we
For
blame
real.
for it. One big important thing about boundaries is that boundaries have to be communicated. That is why boundary is visible. If you don't tell me that there's a boundary, I come and cross it, you can't tell me that, you have to communicate your boundaries. Sometimes it's communicate clearly through words, and sometimes boundaries are just communicate. Let me even give an example. Now, so you know that that about 3 times I've called you at a certain time, and in the middle of our conversation, you either maybe say, and it's not just you, I'm just using you as an example now because you're
Mhm.
here, but that's happened to many of my friendships where this person would say, oh, it's dinner time now for me, or is this time now for me, and is that time.
Mhm.
I take a note of it. So even
Yeah.
like the other day we were online, I was looking at the time. I was like, "It's 9 p.m. Is this? I think this should be Nancy's time for this and that. I think I should rush this thing up because I know she's actually taking out of her time for this for here." I think that friends
Yeah.
with respect. You've never said that, Chanta, don't call me this time, or don't call me this time, or we can't talk at this time. But just by communicating, understanding my
mm,
friend's lifestyle, the way things
Mm-hmm.
go, I
Mm-hmm.
myself would just say, you know what, I feel like this is not a good time to call. But there are people who will wait for that time and say, I will only call the assistant that she always takes a nap. I'll call the other so that I can bring peace. Yes, she couldn't pick my call because she wants to feed her kids. She couldn't pick my call because she's with her husband.
mm,
She couldn't pick my pizza because she's
Yeah.
here. So that is
Yes.
you intentional. Then there are people who know that, if I call at this time, I'll interrupt this thing and they'll call back at that time. That's
Mm-hmm.
just one example. But I'm just saying some boundaries are
mm,
communicated physically. Some
Absolutely.
boundaries just by knowing who you are,
mm,
people will respect it. Those boundaries, which means that we also have that challenge to communicate our boundaries. If you're a
Yep.
people pleaser, you don't have
mhm,
boundaries. People don't know who you are because you are like a shapeshifter. You change in every situation. When you're here, you're different. When you're here, you're different. So you really can't blame people because they don't really know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Mm-hmm.
be you. Mom
you're
has
an
said that so many
amoeba.
times. Be you to the point where people see your boundaries, they see your values, they know your principles. And then that's when you can now say, okay, maybe this person is crossing your boundary. If you do not communicate those boundaries, they will be crossed. But there are people that even when they see it, they'll cross it, and those are toxic people. I wanted to say something about this issue of toxic friends.
Yeah, it remembered me years ago. My late husband. Every time I hung out with friends, I'll come home and all the stuff that I would have said to my friend, I'll be saying it to him. I'll be complaining. Oh my God, and he'll be like, "Why are you saying it to me then? I have to be the one receiving all the bad energy, all your anger." He's like, "You should say it to her. Why are you saying it to me? I'm not your friend. If she does that to you." But every time I won't say anything, but I go to him and then I offload, you know. I'm talking and he'll get so mad. He'll always tell me, like, you need to tell them how you feel. Don't tell me because that's not help because
Yeah.
I'm getting upset because I don't want to hear all of that stuff. You need to tell her. So that's when I knew that, okay, this is not good for me. If I don't feel comfortable to express, maybe it's who I am or how the relationship is, where I feel like I'm being cornered in one side just to please the other person. That for me, that was because once I started expressing, it became a problem. And then I realized that, what, this is not a friendship for me to keep because it's either your way or the
Mm,
highway. But I just remember that because
mm,
he used to get so mad at me. He'll be like, "I'm not your offload body. Go talk to her about it." So yeah, once you're not able to communicate how you feel in a relationship, and you've made effort to communicate, and it's still not getting received,
Yeah.
yeah, it's time.
That's a good one. You
mm,
talked about the fear. Many times when you're afraid of what will happen when you are honest, you
Mm-hmm.
tend to keep it in.
mm,
And that is just what Nancy said. That's not an
mm,
environment. Friends that you're constantly working on an eggshell with. Oh my God, I did not respond to their email.
mm,
I am gone. Oh, I forgot to attend that party that they invited me to. Oh, I am in trouble. Oh, I did not wish them happy birthday. Oh, I am gone.
mm,
I did
I
Yep.
not comment on
know.
that thing she posted today on. Oh my
mm.
goodness, I'm in trouble.
Jesus.
I call
That
it high
is toxic.
maintenance friend, Chantal.
That
High,
is toxic.
high
Yes, mom.
maintenance. I said I call it high maintenance friendship.
High maintenance. High
Wow.
maintenance. And somebody said that friends
I'm
afar,
listening.
afar, for welcoming afar. She said friends with benefits, very toxic. I
Yep.
Right?
want to also pick
Another
up some of the
Mm.
ideas that some people are giving in the comment. Please let us know in the comment sections below. What do in the chat? What for you it's a big no. It's a big sign for toxic friendship. Let us know in the comment section below. I'm going to
Mm.
read another comment that kind of backs what Afa is saying. Friends with benefits are very toxic. It also matches with what Mildred said in a comment here. She said, uh, sometimes you just outgrow their friendships, especially when the main thing that brought you together is no longer there.
Mm,
And this one
Mm,
tells me also that be careful how you get the friends, because you will need that same thing to maintain it.
mm,
What it took you to get it is what it
mm,
will take to maintain it. If you use money to get them, make sure your bank account will always be full, because it
mm,
will take that same money
mm,
to keep it. If you use fame to get friends, make sure you always be
mm.
famous, because the day of they're not famous anymore, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever you use,
That's right.
that is why don't buy friendship. Don't
Mm-hmm.
buy it, because what you
Mm,
use to get it is what
mm,
you use to keep it. So that's the negative side of it. But then there is also a positive side on this thing, which again is a comment still by Mildred. She said, sometimes you simply outgrow the friendship. For instance, university buddies. What brought you people together
mm.
was the fact that you were in the same environment, you were in the same school, which it is for us, like
Mhm.
Nancy, Mildred, in fact, all of you, right? I have my middle school or secondary school friends here, my high school ones. Cynthia here was with me in college. So sometimes just by the fact that you are together with that person, friendships are born, commonality, things that you have in common. And sometimes when that is no longer there, you kind of drift, but it's not like it ended in a toxic, angry way. Sometimes those friends just
Yeah.
move on. So you still lose. It's kind of like a losing, but it's kind of a moving on kind of friendship. And even within the university, or even within when we were on campus, even then you still see that you had some inner circle, maybe because we sang in the church, in the school choir, so we're together. Maybe we were in the same dorm room. If faction said again, let me give this example. There's a friend of mine that we're so close now, but through our college, we were in nursing school, we were not friends. But just because we
Mm,
were kind of left behind, if you watch my my live, the last live stream, I did an extra year in college, and she was like my classmate from that batch. I felt out of place with the other new students I was with. So because we kind of shared something, we shared a failure, we shared a carryover, we kind of just bonded there. But that's not the only thing, right? It's just one factor. Other things like you all have listed, sharing the same value, the same way outlook of life, the same, it kind of also, make us bond. So the circumstance you find yourself in can create a friendship and keep it. And sometimes it's for a
mm,
season. Maybe you created a friend because you were going through a tough season, they too were going through a tough season, and you people kind of just understood each other. After you have healed
mm.
and move on, maybe that friendship was meant just for that season, for that time, for that support.
Exactly.
And then you could feel like
Mm,
you're losing that person. If you are not open to
mm,
see the maturity and how things unfold, you can feel like, okay, now you're better off and now you've left me.
mm,
Probably they were in your life just for that season and for that purpose. Even though I know people who, in short, when they feel like they don't fit in your category anymore, they're just gonna move on, and that is bad. But I think, these comments that people brought up are very, very good. Another one that somebody is bringing up is that sometimes we lose friends because of disagreements. And I think
mm,
we have said that here. At times, it's not because that person is toxic, you're toxic. We may just not
yeah.
handle disagreements in a mature way. And I think
Mm-hmm.
even we ourselves have found ourselves there, with growth. I see where I did not handle certain things well. Either I was just not ready to take critique, or an argument. I was, or the other party is not just ready to forgive and to let go. So
Mm,
we end up finding ourselves, in that situation. Someone else also says here that in friendship, you need to know each other's limitations, strengths, and skills.
mm,
Nancy said something here that it's not only money, right? It doesn't mean if I give you 2,000 francs, you have to give me 2,000 francs. If I give you $100, you give me $100. The give and take could be different. Maybe I'm always in the position to give you money, but I know that you may not be in the position to lend me money.
Take look at
Knowing your
Korea.
knowing
mm,
your
mm,
your limitations, but then there is something else you can offer in that friendship. Maybe time,
Mm-hmm.
like Nancy said, you can be able to offer time for me
mm,
somewhere. As selfish as what we're saying looks like, okay, it's give and take and whatever thing. No, I think that love is, nobody wants to find themselves walking on eggshells all the time. Nobody wants to find
exactly.
themselves sacrificing and giving all the time and feeling like, and sometimes it's not just about that getting. It's like in your heart, you want to feel that that person wants to be there for you. There are people that at times have felt
Mm,
it, that they cannot even do anything, but I can tell that they really want to be there for me. And
Yeah.
that happens. Let me also read this comment. Friendship is priceless and should be maintained with integrity. Yes, friendship is really,
Mm,
really priceless and should be
mm,
maintained with integrity.
Shan,
Uh,
there's something I want to
yes.
chime in the aspect of toxic traits in friendship. One of
mm,
the things that I wanted to I wanted to mention is be careful of people who are always there when you're down. And the
mm,
reason I'm saying this is because we were taught to know that growing up, we all knew that whoever is there in your lowest moments is your best friend. Whoever is
mm,
there when you're down, that's your person. That's your person. That's your ride or die. But
mm,
I came to realize that some people only like you when you're beneath them. Some people will
mm,
only be friends to you as long as you're not anywhere better. As long as you're in a very low season of your life, you're always complaining, you always have
mm,
issues, you have things going on. As long as they are
mm.
above you, they are the best friends you can ever have.
That's right.
But
Wow. Mm,
the minute you triumph, you get to a better place where you're thriving, you're succeeding, you're doing better for yourself, which you would think that's the time where we want to celebrate each other and really be happy for one another.
Come
You
You're
on.
gone.
disappear. You
That's
don't see
right.
them. So one of the toxic traits of friendship is watch out for people who are only there when you're down.
Mm.
Don't get
mm,
caught in thinking that they are good friends, because not all of them. There's some people that are genuinely there for you when you're down and will be there for
mhm,
you when you're up. But be very weary about people who only identify with you at your lowest.
Thank
That's
you.
a
wow.
toxic trait.
That's the big one.
Wow.
That's a big one, mom.
Mm,
That's a big one, mom.
powerful.
Many times I'm like, the people who surrounded you every day and cried and say, "We're praying for you. We're praying for you." Now that God has answered the prayers, where are you
Answer
to
prayers.
celebrate? You know, where are you to celebrate? So,
They're not
and people
celebrating.
like that never ask your success. So they're always very keen to find out what is going wrong. Are you happy? Is
Mm,
it no? When they
mm,
see you happy, their body doesn't feel good. But they, and it's a pity if you only gain joy and strength from the
mm,
downfall of another person, then your joy
mm.
and strength will be very short lived because people are down
That's
today
true.
and up tomorrow. So if your joy only
Yeah.
comes from people's down moments, then your joy will not last because people's down moments don't last.
Mm-mm.
Even your
Yeah.
own down moments don't last. So try
Mm,
not to seek joy, but from people's down moments. And sometimes it comes from what I discussed in my last life about trying to find out somebody who is down so that you can feel better about where you are.
mm,
It can be a very
mm.
like I feel down. Who else is down so that I can feel better?
Who else
You
is
know,
down?
so that but it will give you momentary satisfaction, and after
Mhm.
that, your down is your down. So deal with what you're going through rather than seeking, to see who is down to feel better. Seek who is
Yeah, and
down
Shan,
more to be grateful. Yeah.
and if I may say something, Shanti, to also just support what Mildred just said, we really have to be careful with friends in quotes. I'll say friends in quotes because those are people, the kind of friends who want to control your life. I've been in a situation that it took another person to open my eye to see that this person really just wants to control your life. You are in a friendship in quotes, and the person is only interested in controlling how you look, how you talk, what you eat, where you go, controlling your other associations, making sure that the person pushes other people away from you. So you are not aware but the person goes to the back of you and make sure that the person builds a wall around you without your knowledge, making people to know that this person is my person. And to gain access to this person, you need to come through me. That is a very toxic relationship. And I pray that our eyes will be open to identify such people. Control is a very toxic how does it indicator in friendship. Manipulation, you know, creating situations around themselves that your attention will be drawn towards them and not towards any other person. That is a high level of manipulation, and that is very toxic. You need to run, you need to flee. It's very bad, very bad.
Wow, that's so great. I brought up this comment that I had flagged up before. It says a red flag. I'm sorry. A red flag for a toxic relationship is a friendship that constantly seeks external validation. It's just draining. It ties with what you're saying. There's that control of you have to love this person. You have to, what you should do. And at the same time, they want you to validate them, which I said before. You are tired, you have to constantly prove to them that they are good, they are okay. You have to constantly prove to them that you are loyal and that you love them. You have to constantly prove to them. And part of that proving to them is by doing what they want you to do, move how they want you to move. I see it a lot, and it is very, very subtle. It's very, very subtle. We have to be very, very careful about that. I just saw this comment. That quote was not completely right, though. Sorry, I didn't catch this comment in time, so I'm not sure what quote you're referring to. If you can just write it back in the comment section, we'd love to address that. Now, if any of you don't have anything again to say about this, there are three important things I want us to talk before we wrap up, because I know this is something that this list is endless of, the signs of toxic friendship, and we brought up just so many things. I'm actually feeling I may have to go summarize this life and make a short video of it that people can just get something real quick. Before we get into that next question that I want to bring up, let me read this. Marvin says, I remember I just lost a friend 2 weeks ago because he saw me getting some secret into what he was doing to have money. He would prefer to assist me and never show me what to do. Right? That is so important. That's so true, rather. There are people who just love you to constantly be dependent so that they can help you, because that is where they also get their own self-worth. And all these things that we are pointing out may look as if we are talking down on people or criticizing people, but some of these things we're saying, we have also been that and experienced that at different stages of our lives growing. But then we become wiser, and we see, and some of this behavior come from trauma, childhood baggages that we have brought up. We feel worthless, and I feel like the way to feel worthy is to make everybody around me depend on me, right? Because when you give out, you don't feel worthless. When you're dependent, you feel worthless. When you give out, there's a certain self-worth that comes with. And so there are people who will, do everything to make sure that you are constantly depending on them. So if you are trying to kind of, get your stand, they don't like that, because then you won't need them again. You won't call them again to cry in the night. You're not going to borrow again from them. You're not. So they feel like they're going to lose you. No, they have to trust enough that, what, my independence does not mean that, you know, I will not be friends again. And that goes back to what Mildred said, that be careful with what you took to get the friend, because that person's definition of friendship is that I only want people that depend on me. I only want people who are beneath me, like Mildred said. And so when these people start feeling like they will not need me anymore, then it becomes as though it's a problem. So please, ladies, I want us to just rush into, because there are three important things. I want us to help somebody. We have pointed out so many things. There's somebody listening to us who feels like they can see 2-3 times where they have probably even been the toxic one in a friendship, or they know somebody who is toxic, or they're isolating to a friendship they're in that is really not healthy. And maybe that's why they are holding on and struggling, or maybe that's why they had lost friends. What can we do if we find ourselves in those unhealthy friendships and relationships. Right now, it's what that I'm in a relationship or friendship where somebody, I feel like I'm walking with eggshells. I'm in a relationship where I don't think this person has my interest in heart. I'm in a relationship, in friendship where, you know, we have listed it. I don't want to go through it again. We have listed all of that. What can I do if I find myself in a toxic friendship? Or what should be the steps that I take in a way that is healthy? Because there's also ways that people go about those that turns out really, really bad, both for the other person and for themselves. Can we just quickly talk about that? By the way, if you're watching us, we have two more very important questions that we are going to look at, which will really, really help you. So please stay tuned and give the live a thumbs up if you haven't already, so that YouTube can keep pushing this to many more people who need this beautiful message. So, ladies, go ahead.
I
Or
think
your own story? What have you done before when you found yourself in a very unhealthy situation?
I think one of the things that we need to remind ourselves in this conversation is that we're not perfect, right? None of us sitting perfect, and at some point we've not been the best of friends, right? So let's just establish that. But most importantly, I think growth starts from looking within and realizing that there's some things you have to change, because if you don't change some things, then everything will remain the same. It's like doing the same thing and expecting different results, right? If you're getting the same
Exactly.
result, you have to change what you're doing. So it's looking within and also realizing that in wanting a friend, you have to be a friend. And narrowing it down to have I been okay? I'm complaining that Eileen is not a good friend. She doesn't call me. Well, do I call Eileen? Do I call her? I don't call her either. So I can't complain about her not calling me, and that qualifies her not being a good friend because I don't call her as well. Just itemizing those things and really going down the list and looking within and having an honest conversation with yourself first, because it's easy to point fingers, right? Easy to sit on the other side and be like, "Yeah, you're not this, you're not that, you're not that." But until we get to the point where we are honest with ourselves and really taking an honest and transparent assessment of us as friends, then we cannot really get to the next step where we are what's the word? Where we know we can get a good friend. So you have to be a friend, first of all. But look within. Look within and see the things that you need to change. Well, I need to do better with calling my friends. I need to do better with, replying to their messages on time. I need to show up when they need me or when they don't need me. I just need to be a good friend and start from there. Sometimes baby steps. And if it's a good friend, it would last. If it's not, then it is what it is. But start from within, because it's easy to point things. Start from within.
That's so beautiful, Mom. You know, one of the first thing I wrote down for me was that the step of ever thinking of, healthy friendship is from the inside out. I've always talked about growth from the inside out. Today, all of us sitting here and saying all of these things is because of some level of growth that has happened. And for me, when the growth happened, I saw my fingers pointing at me first before it
Hello.
could even point to somebody else. Because even the things that I saw that I wasn't happy about in my friendships were also because I allowed it, you know? And so when you just grow
Contributed.
and you mature and you start seeing things differently, I think sometimes even there's just some natural selection that starts to happen.
Oh
And
yeah.
again, the flip side to it is that you may lose friends also because of that. Trust me. Trying to solve this issue of unhealthy friendships will lead to you gaining some beautiful friends, but it equally lead to you losing some, and which is okay. Which is
Yes.
okay because growth, you can't try to be a mediocre so that you can fit everybody in. You
Yep.
know,
That's right.
you have to stand out, and there are just some things that standing out will not work with some people. There are times that maybe you don't see with them because they have already grown, they have gone ahead, they're seeing things that you don't see. And there are times, certain other circumstances where it is you who has grown and they are not seeing what you're seeing. And so you are just on this different wavelengths, and it's kind of like, everything needs adjustment. But I always say that if the foundation of that friendship was right, that house may be shaken, some windows may break, some roof, parts of the roof may come off, but that friendship will stand, and with time you people repair it. Even in our
That's
our relationships, if I look at even my marriage, I see times when my husband was ahead of me in something and I just didn't see it. And there are other times I feel like I see something that he doesn't see. But then at some point when I get, I'm
We
like,
need
oh,
more, Shan.
now I see where he's coming from. And then sometimes he kind of also sees, and it's so beautiful when people finally find that wavelength where you all are seeing it and working together. But because the foundation is right, those seasons where one person is in it, and at times it's not really an ahead or behind thing, it's just different seasons in life. So when we are in different seasons in friendships and we do not, the foundation has to be right so that when you don't see eye to eye, growth is one thing that will help you so much in friendships. Growing emotionally, even in this
that's
today's day and time where there is just too much sensitivity, people are sensitive about everything. When you yourself grow and you mature, you know when not to sweat the small stuff.
Thank you.
Okay.
None of you can say here that there's some things that I have done that you've not been upset about. But probably you've never told me, and it's not because you're holding anything. When we say that, tell your friends when they're wrong, it doesn't mean every minute you're on the phone like, you did this today, I was not happy. You did this in the afternoon. Oh my goodness. If you also have a friend that every single thing, it also becomes so draining.
I
There
will
are
put
key
on
things
my
I
phone.
can point to you, and there are other things that I can overlook. That's where that endurance comes in, that patience, that forgiveness. That is where it comes in, right? We don't also want to raise this kind of environment where it's like you have to have that friend has to be right 100% of the time. And if they're not right 100% of the time, because I don't want to be a people pleaser, I will tell them 100% of the time. No, I believe that we have to reflect how God is. We have been received mercy, and so we should also learn to show mercy. So many times also, and we mimic the relationship that God. So there are times I've forgiven people; they don't even know that they really hurt me real deep. And I really didn't just see the need to bring it up on the table. If I'm struggling with it, then I bring it up so that we talk it out. But if I feel like I'm not struggling with it, I can choose to mention it, maybe so that you will learn not to do it again that the second time for you to hurt me. Because trust me, if there's a wound on top of a scar, it takes longer to heal. And they may do that also to somebody else. So you may also mention it because of that. But there are just some small stuff that let go and forgive. Don't make people feel like they have to be reprimanded for every little thing that they do. So personal growth is a big thing, mom. So big, mom. Okay, ladies, what else for do you think it's important to do to help you if you find yourself in, or maybe if you're not still in the friendship, but you've had unhealthy friendships before? How did you get out of them? How did you solve the situation?
I'm going to
If I
piggyback
can
on.
say something,
Yes,
Yeah, go
Nasi.
ahead, please.
um, first of all, I want us to acknowledge the fact that when you have a friend and you are trying to make an effort, it means that you have seen something valuable in that person. And when you are trying to restore it, it means you value the friendship. It means that you value this person's presence in your life and you see that you can work it through to make it happen. So, for real, if this person is already not in lane or in line with your status of a friend, you roll him off, you write him off. But when you take the pain of trying to walk through a friendship, it means you're intentional about that relationship and you're trying to save it, you're trying to keep it. So if I find myself in an unhealthy relationship with a friend and we are trying to restore it, I think I'll confront them about it. Confrontation, not in the sense of creating problems, but in trying to look for a workable solution to our friendship. For example, you can point out positively what you think should be in a situation which could have been solved, but you try to fix it. If you know, for example, for there are times when we know that this person is lying, and we keep it like, I'm telling you for real, like this thing you're telling me, it's a lie, and we sugarcoat it and we cover it. You can just tell them nicely, like, I know that you're lying. Say it politely, you know, let's walk past this. Stop lying. Stop constantly lying about it. Address the situations as they come up to be able to fix it. Because this person, if you keep accommodating that person in that situation, in that sport, he keeps thinking he's winning and has a sport over you. But if you are handling the situations as they are coming up, restoration will come in gradually. It's not going to be a one day fix thing. It's not going to be a spur of a moment thing. It's going to come up progressively. You need to have a conversation. You need to confront them about it. You need to talk about it progressively and expect some change over time. But if you find that these things are not working like they should, or are getting so much into your space negatively, then you need to maybe pull back, rethink, reevaluate if that friend should be in your life or should still be a friend or an acquaintance. All of that comes into place. We shouldn't entertain frenemies in our lives, friends who are enemies at the same time. So it's a personal evaluation that needs to come into place, and you need to be patient about it. Be ready to work along that person in all the pitfalls. Don't just cut off, because then you haven't made any effort in saving that friend. But work to the point where you feel that, oh, yes, I put in my effort in this friendship and it's not working. So that's where I think that we can identify friends when we have unhealthy friendships. We confront them, we have a conversation, take some space, reevaluate, and then before you can make any conclusions of if this friendship is worthy or not, before concluding that this friendship is bad, evaluate your relationship. That's what I can say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good
Wow.
now. So you talked about evaluating, and in that Rita says here that sometimes you need to lose something to get the best. I think as you mature and realize that the friendship did not start on a right foundation, some just break out naturally. So there are some things that you can revisit the foundation and rebuild it, and there are some that, by virtue of how it was, it kind of when the foundation wasn't right, and it goes maybe against values and principles. Now, before I would like us to help somebody. If somebody says that I really don't have friends, the baggage behind is gone, I've left it. Now I want to start new friendships and healthy relationships, or even rebuild the broken ones. How can I make new friends? I feel like I'm alone. I feel like I need a little community around me. What are we going to tell them? Another thing that I would like us to discuss before we conclude real quick also is that, has there been a time where you've been hurt as a friend, and how did you make up? I think it is a big thing, because a lot of people cannot even go further to make new friends or even rebuild that which they have, because they are still holding on some baggages that brought from different friendships and from different, relationships in their lives. But before that, there is something here that I want us to really talk about and clarify. Remember, I said there's a quote that someone said was not true, and I said we should look at it again. And this is the quote. The quote about "show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are" is not completely right. See Jesus, for example, he always found himself among sinners. That does not mean he was a sinner. Okay, another follow-up that this really says is that also you can have friends that are completely different from you, although it is true that you can be influenced by them. The question I have after listening to these is that you can are we saying that we need friendships that we have principles and values or we are going somewhere? Are we saying that we are looking for friends that are clones of us? All of
Mm-mm.
us sitting here, five of us, are we exactly the same? I think if we answer that,
Mhm.
it's also going to help with this. And this aspect of, is it Jesus being among sinners and was not a sinner? Is it the same with the quote, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are? Can we just kind of look into that, dissect what this person is saying?
Can I say
Um,
something on that?
Mm-hmm.
Having friends that are completely similar to you or you share same values and ideas. For me, my spiritual walk is very important as to everyone on this platform. Um, my group of friends, we are I'm more of, Pentecostal. I have my friends that are Jehovah Witnesses, and I have another friend that's Catholic. You know, we are sisters because we've built that foundation. When I call all of those denominations, you guys can already tell all the differences that we share, you know.
hmm,
And sometimes when you have a conversation about, oh, this is what I believe in, this is what I believe in, this is what I believe in, these are really controversial conversations that will completely tear down a relationship because we're
Mm-hmm.
stuck on,
hmm,
we're this is who we are, this is what we do, we are the better ones with this and that. But our my goal with all of them is to show Jesus in me. And sometimes my friends will be like, my God, Eileen, I miss this your videos that you always um put on Facebook. You said something to me that really touched me. Oh, Eileen, my God, the way you just express yourself and the way you talk to me sometimes really made me go to that verse that you were talking to me about. Because I changed how I had my conversations with my friends when it came to spiritual aspect, because I almost lost my friend because we had an argument about some biblical thing, which should not have happened at all. But I realized that I don't have to do that. I have to live my truth, and that has attracted us back together. So you can still have differences, but it takes a lot of maturity, and
hmm,
God will sieve out your friends, because at the end of the day you have to be in the position where you allow God to do that work for you. Because for me, the way I dealt with this was, who am I? What's the calling on my life as a woman of God? Where are you taking me? And sometimes you do not have control of who comes in your life. Sometimes God will do the work for you and take them away from you and put you in a position where you're by yourself, or where you're by this group of people who are challenging you because you have this little thing in you that needs to go down. And God is bringing people that are different from you to humble you a little bit, to make you see that, hey, you're really not that better than them. You guys are all in the same boat, all lost, and you need to take the lead to be able to shine the light on something.
Mm,
So that's
mm,
how I've allowed it, because there's just some things that I can't do, and I allow God to see it, and He's done that. And we have a great conversation, not a debate, but a conversation of understanding where this person is coming from. Why did you say this? Can you show me how this means? Where this is said in the Bible? And it's like, wow, you know. So differences are great, because it's great when you handle it in a mature, and when you allow God to use you. You know, it sounds so cliche, like, oh, okay, we'll just allow God. But for me, that's the foundation. Even in my natural friendship, I allow Him to see it for me, because I have a weakness. Sometimes I just can't read the person, I just can't feel the energy. But I always let Him, and I'm okay with Him taking them away, from me. Before I wasn't. I think that's why I had the problem, because I was always running to them. Oh my God, why you not my friend? Why, what's going on? How come you're doing this? But I realized that no, I don't have to do that anymore, because there's one person I gotta please. It's God. And if he's not, if he's not in line with my environment, I have to adjust myself.
Thank you,
Amen.
I. Thank you, I. Cynthia, I think you wanted to say something. Someone wanted to say.
Um, yes, I'm the one. I wanted to say something just to re-echo what Mildred said and illustrate it, and then to to just add to it in another way. So I read something. I read a story one time, and that story was about a lady who always sat at her dining table, and she always watched her neighbor hanging out, her laundry. And she will always comment to the husband, I don't know why our neighbor can't really wash clothes. Because every set of clothes that she's hanging out, they don't look clean. They don't look clean. They always look dirty, you know. And she made the comment time and again. And then one day she sat at the table again. And then she said, wow, for the first time, the lady, our neighbor, has gotten it right. She's washed her clothes and her clothes look clean.
Hmm.
And then the husband said, no, her clothes have always been clean. It's our windows that have been dirty all this while. So,
That's
That's a
good.
beautiful
so
story.
Jesus.
yeah, it's our windows that have always been dirty. So what I did was I washed our windows, and that's why you could see the real color of her
The clothes.
clothes. So
Oh my God.
That's
what am I
beautiful.
saying? In relationships, especially when it comes to toxic relationships, before you lash out, just like Mildred said, be honest enough, retreat and do introspection. What is going on? And if possible, if you can get one person, but even if you can't get a person, you get you sit before God and said, Father, like David said, search me and know me. Father, reveal, show me these things, because it takes maturity for you to do such a thing. So why am I attracting? Because there are some people right now listening to us, and they haven't been able to enjoy the benefits of a good friendship all their lives. All what they can say is they've been in one friendship that never worked out, and it's always a particular group of people that always come your way. You find
Attract.
yourself with this group of people, and they end up being toxic. So why are these people attracted to me, and why am I attracted to this kind of people? Then you need to deal with the root cause. You need to deal with the root cause of why you are attracted to such people. Because Chantal, you mentioned there are some traumas that we go through that when we
Yeah.
don't deal with them, they come to haunt us, even when it comes to relationships. So we find ourselves in circles we are not meant to be in because of such things. So you need to be honest enough. One, two, three situations are enough for you to say, no, I've had it. Retreat, introspect, and know if it is your own windows that are dirty or it's your neighbor's laundry that are not clean. Then you would be able to move on from there. You'll be able to move on from there. Without which, every day you'll be seeing the log or the speck in your neighbor's eyes, and you would forget about the log that is in your own eyes. So
Thank you.
we need to be very careful. We need to be mature. Maturity, friendships, we should be able to mature in our friendships, because truly, as we've said also, we have not always been the best of friends. And I was laughing at some of the things Chantal pointed out when we were at the university. And I think I've grown, Shanti. I think there are a lot of things that
We all
you
have
can
grown.
tell you can tell me today, and I'm not going to, lecture you on this, on that. But you see, it takes situations also.
Mm.
It takes an
Life.
environment as well. It takes life, to beat out some of those things in you, and to make you embrace, the things that actually matter. And so we should learn to distinguish some of those things. So I thought I should share just this to just uh, buttress what Mildred said.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Hmm.
Mhm.
Anybody else want to say something about that?
No, I think self-reflection is,
Okay.
I was writing down
Some
here self-reflection.
And
That's
okay.
also, yeah,
powerful.
Another perspective I would say. Sorry, Mildred, you were about to say
no,
something?
yeah, I was just gonna add to it and just say, and also pray for your friends. I think that's something we hear about it, but how many of us truly, genuinely take time to pray for our friendships? You know,
Mm-hmm.
so pray for your
Mm,
friendship. You know, we pray for our problems, things we're dealing with, but friendships is one of the things that we hardly would come to God and talk about it. So pray for your friendships.
mm.
That is something that we shouldn't take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's
If
beautiful.
I can say something,
Yes, ma'am.
your question was, can we walk with people who are not, in our line? Um, yes, we can, because in all your friends and everybody around you, there is something we call boundaries. And among those people, I may not call them friends, but they are people you relate with all the time, you talk with, you share some things with, but they are not on the same page with you. But these people understand your boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep.
These people understand your boundaries and can walk within your boundary.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not saying that we rule off. As Christians, we pray that while we are not dropping off on them, they join us on the walk. So I would not say that, oh, because this person is not in my space and nature, I'll keep them aside. No, you keep encouraging, like Mildred would say, pray for them, anticipate, wait, don't rule off people. Keep everybody around you. In as much as you are the way you are, you will know that this person is like this person is like this. You know that this friend is like this friend is like that. Keep encouraging, keep being there for them, even though they are not in the circle. Keep being there for them, keep encouraging them. You never know when your impact is going to be of great value in somebody's life. So, yes, I can say that we can walk around with people, adults, respect people's boundaries, but yes, keep everybody around you, have your limitations, and I think that's life. We were not meant to live out of the world. We were meant to move along others in this world. Or else, if we were so special as Christians, God will make another earth for you so that when you become a Christian, you move and you go and live there. Why would He keep us on the same earth with everybody else? To be able to maneuver and manage and encourage and anticipate and hope that these people get to meet us at the same level where we think we are, which we maybe to us we are, like we just said, you may think you're the best, maybe to some other person she's like this one, hell no, she can't be my friend, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in your eyes, you may think you're the best of people, but in the eyes of others, you're not yet where they expect you to be. So everybody is a work in progress. So we shouldn't write off anybody. We shouldn't, with the law we have, we keep pulling along and hoping that, oh yes, someday we can be at the stage where we can be very appreciative of everybody around us. So that's what I think.
Beautiful, ladies. Beautiful. Actually, what I was going to say just before you came in, Nancy, you have just kind of said most of it. I wanted to go back to what he said, giving the example of Jesus and the sinners. And while that is a biblical example, I want to make us understand that it's not a Christian thing. This is the same principles that we're using in life in general. This is not about Christians versus unbelievers. This is about compatibility in life, where you're going to, values, principles, and all the good things that you all have spoken about. You know, Nancy has just brought up the aspect of, it's going back to redefining. First, I would say that that example, somewhere I have a little thing with it, because Jesus mingled with sinners doesn't mean that they were his friends. I'm sorry to say that. It's a tough one, but that was it. If you look at many places in scripture where Jesus also says that now I call you friend, you know? So it's telling us that those are the kind of things we're saying, that it's a challenge. When people start adding their beliefs and their values to this thing, it can become very confusing. You can start to see like, okay, should I cut this person off? And I think Eileen gave a beautiful example of people all, again, bringing it to the religious fair. She brought people who have the same, belief and going somewhere, but disagree, you know, in certain views about things and have a different perspective of stuff. So we're not saying that friends should be somebody who must see the way you see. Again, it goes back to that toxic loyalty, if that's what we want. So we're not saying that surround yourself with people who are a clone of you. There are categories, again, like we said, and there is something called acquaintance and there's something called a friend. Many times we mix it. There are people in our lives that are supposed to be acquaintance. Be nice to them, visit them when things happen to them and all of that, but they cannot be in your inner circle. I like this comment. Somebody said here that I think we can work with people not in our line because we come from different backgrounds. But if certain principles or boundaries are not I think was understood, trust me, you will not go far. And that is true. That is true. There are certain seasons in your life. For example, let me give an example. A drug addict who has just gotten out of rehab, if they move back to that place with the same friends, no amount of prayers, like she said here,
Prayers can help him.
you will go back to the rehab. So that just certain people you cannot surround yourself with in a city, not because you have now come out from the rehab and you think that you are cleaner than clean and everybody else is bad. It is the attitude that begins to make it bad. The attitude you have, like you are perfect, you are good. But you set certain boundaries at times, not because you are even better. At times that boundary is because you are even the problem and you want to figure out yourself as well. So in a season where you're going through bitterness and anger and everything, you may cut off for some things because you want to deal with that thing that is going on at the inside of you. Maybe you want to stop being around that kind of friend that tells you, corrects you over every single thing. Not because you don't want feedback, but because this is a season where you need truth being spoken with love attached to it, speaking the truth in love, not just some harsh thing that will just shred you from the little hope you had that you could change. So I just want to bring that point that when they say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are, people only look at it to mean, show me good friends. No.
Yeah.
Also, when you show people who the kind of people Jesus walked around with, it tells you who he was. It tells you he was tolerant. It tells you he was merciful. It tells you he was somebody who listened to people, who gave people chances. When you look at his life and people he hung around with, it told you the kind of person he was. I think if we look at it from that perspective, we won't find fault with that. And the person who brought this up is also right. If you look at it from the fact that my friends must be people who are exactly like me, have to be loyal to me, then yes, that has a problem. Then you will have a problem with that. So I'm not saying it's a right or wrong. I'm just saying that change the perspective of how you view that.
Exactly.
you would see it as something positive.
Mm-hmm.
Know who is an
Mm.
acquaintance, know who is a friend. And then even within the
That's right.
friends, you have to categorize. You will not go far in life if you are in a season where, let me tell you, I was in a season in my life where I had to push myself. But at times, the people that are around you may make you not to push yourself. There are
Mm-mm.
people who keep telling that, what are you worried about? This is our life, and this is where we end. This is how things are. If that is all you surround yourself with, you will never push yourself.
That,
You know? So you need categories of people who are able to see that, you know what, we can come out of this pit. I'm telling you, somebody can make you feel that you are on the mountain when you are way, way down there.
My
And this
dear.
is not just false hope. This is
Mhm.
not false hope. But you need people around you who can build the hope within you to
Yep.
move out of where you
Mm.
are, to change. If every day you're surrounding yourself with people who remind you of your failure, remind you of, so we're not saying that surround yourself. If you look at the disciples, we had thieves with inside there, people who like to boast, like, I'm with you, Anybody does anything to you, I'll cut off their ear. I'm with you, right? You had people who were like that, and it was from their heart. But when crisis came, they say, I don't know me, this man. Oh. I don't know him.
Right.
So we're not saying that these are things that we're pointing these things out to say we should cut off people like this, but is that be aware. I want to believe, I'm not going to say that the Bible says it anywhere, don't misquote me, but I want to believe that Jesus knew how he navigated within those disciples. I want to
Mm-hmm.
believe that he knew who got him from when he just opens his mouth and who they had to work on. There were doubters in the people who doubted him. But if
Oh
you
yeah.
look, there was
Mm.
one common thing. They were all fishers of men, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm.
Thank you.
So there is something common, like if you see
Love
the
that.
example Eileen made. So let us differentiate it. We are in the trouble we are today because at times we bring acquaintances and make them friends.
I love
Because
that.
we're afraid that if I keep these people as acquaintances and not friends, then I'm not godly. Then
Hmm.
I'm segregating. And then it
Yeah.
means that I don't love. I don't even want to get into some things that may spark controversies, but there are some things in scripture that if you look at it, you would see that Jesus showed us the real examples
Mm-hmm.
of
Yep.
who he really was, in the sense that he knew that I need inner circle. And then there were some things that he said, I talk this one just with my father.
Mm-hmm.
you
Thank you.
know. So we
Mhm.
have to know that they're acquaintances, and you don't expect always sitting here. Now you have a completely different temperament from me. Cynthia, I, you. There's some things that you guys are comfortable with that I will not be comfortable with. There are things that I'm comfortable with that you will not be comfortable with, and we are just in different
Mm.
wavelengths, different seasons in life. Again, like I said, that times in the season where it's okay to keep a certain people close, and when it is done, it's done. That again, going
That's
back
right.
to my example of the jail, you come out of jail or you come out of a rehab, and Nancy said it, a boundary has to be set if you're going to ever really come out. If you come out and say, well, I don't want to come out of jail now and make or out of rehab and make like I'm just better than everybody, or I don't want to come out of this mistake. I don't even know why I'm using this example, but you would find yourself in the same place. Just to say one last thing, there was I forget her name. I was listening to her, and somebody had sent her a question saying that I've improved my life, I've become better, and all of a sudden I'm losing friends. That's one of the reasons why we lose friends, because we grow and they cannot feel comfortable again. But there was one thing she said. She
That's
said, but
right.
if you now walk around acting like everyone else is dumb, and you were born as a wise person, that's when, of course, you're going to lose people. Because
Yep.
Nancy said here, you have
Mm-hmm.
to, you said something. You want to show Jesus. I just had a beautiful conversation with a brother I love and respect, and he was saying that he has reached a stage in his life where God has put him at a place where he has to interact with all kinds of people.
That's
And
right.
his mindset now is not just to walk into a place with this big Bible and hammer on people's life. But he has said, I want to show my faith. I want to show my life. I want to show, I said it
Mm.
before, boundaries that people will see without me saying anything.
Thank you.
There are people that when you talk
Mm.
with, let's say just go out to work, there are people you can gauge their life just by the way they talk. Have they really told you their lifestyle? Then you can tell. So if people are comfortable to just be who they are, then you just go ahead and be who you are, and people will see who you are,
Mm.
what you stand for, and things like that. Just show your values, show your principles,
Mm.
and
Be-
what you believe in.
Mm.
Don't say it and hammer it, show it. Not Let me not say don't say it, but I want to say that beyond saying it, show it. It speaks more. So I hope that we have answered
Wow.
the question, that person said. If nobody else has anything, please let us help somebody who is here today. Has
Yeah.
there been a time where you have hurt a friend? How did you make up? Somebody who is here now and saying that I have some friendships that are sour, that have gone down. Maybe they were the fault, I was the fault. I just want to make up. I want to heal. There are just some baggages that are just carrying that on me. I don't want. How do I go about it? If somebody is asking that question right now, how can you help somebody to heal? Before we get into telling people how can they make new and good healthy friendships, you must heal from the past. You must deal with some baggage. If not, you carry it into a new friendship, or maybe you carry it back again into that friendship that you have just, you're trying to work on.
There has to be a conversation, right? Um, it has to start with a conversation, obviously, and just being transparent, very transparent. Because I think sometimes in solving these problems or getting into the whole issue why we're not friends, sometimes people hold back and not truly and honestly say why the friendship ended or what made them upset in the first place. So there has to be honesty in that conversation, and talking about it, and really being honest about your feelings, how you felt, how they made you feel, whatever it is, and also be open to their feedback of also what you did, because it's easy again to point fingers. Easy to go in there and saying, oh, you did this is what you did to me, da, 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 da. But it's also important to go in with an open mind and having an honest and transparent conversation, and also be welcoming to feedback
Mm-hmm.
feedback that you take and use it constructively in your next relationship, and forgive yourself
Mm.
and and, and move on, because sometimes you go through a relationship with a friend and you look back at how much hurt, how bad this person hurt, and you can't forgive yourself for letting them getting away with this for so long. That in itself is bondage. That in itself will keep you stagnant and not growing. So you have to forgive yourself and move on. That will help you to take the next step. But until you have that conversation, and sometimes you're not even blessed with having that conversation. Sometimes you may not be blessed with that audience of having that conversation. You can have a friend and situations present themselves where you're not able to have that conversation to move on. How do you deal with it? You forgive yourself, you have an honest assessment of the situation, forgive yourself, and move on and give yourself another chance. It's in forgiving yourself and the situation and not holding back grudges, because it's easy to forgive, but people will forgive and not forget. Hear that quote. Yeah, I forgive, but I don't forget. Part of your healing is also trying to forget it, because if you don't forget it, there will always be an instance where something would remind you of that incident, and it will bring that hurt all over it. So you have to forgive, try to forget, and I'm putting the word try because it's not easy, and just give yourself another chance, because if you don't, then you will carry that hurt and that baggage to the next friendship, and the circle will continue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you, Mildred.
Yeah,
Beautiful. You're
I
I'd
just
like
sexy.
like
to
what
say that. I'd like to say that. Excuse me. If you want, if, for example, if you were the problem and you acknowledge that you were the problem in the relationship, you should be willing to work with yourself.
Hmm.
You should be able, Be willing to work on that attitude which brings in a problem between you both, or else you can't be moving along with a car that has a bad tire. They say that a bad attitude is like a bad tire, it takes you nowhere. So
Mhm.
if you have a bad attitude and it comes up to you like I'm the problem in this relationship, be ready to work with yourself. Be ready to
Mhm.
work on that attitude. Be ready to put in, time to work on yourself. If at all you value the relationship with your friend, or else if you break away, then you've lost the friendship and it's on you. So people must be willing to work with themselves, acknowledging. First of all, you need to acknowledge that yes, I was a problem. You apologize for it, and then you work on it. That's the only way you can move forward. If you're not willing to work on yourself, then you're not moving forward, or else the same situation would keep recurring, and then we're not making any progress.
Yeah, Nas, what you said reminds me of this statement that we often make. People often say, well, this is who I am, take it or leave it if
Yeah.
you are. And in friendship, we always also say we want to be around friends who, true friends love you for who you are, right? They accept you for who you are. You are not always careful. Oh, if I don't say it this way, if I don't do it this way, right? They let you be who you are. But I mentioned that in my last video. I said that it's a beautiful thing to learn to embrace who you are, but that should never
Mm.
replace the need for growth and development.
Mhm.
That's
The
right.
fact that Nasi, you love me irrespective of my the weaknesses. Eileen, Mom, Cynthia, you all love me irrespective of the weak areas of my life, and I'm happy because I am myself when I'm around you people. That should not take away the need for me to improve myself. It shouldn't take away
Mm.
the need for me to self develop, especially if you appointed this or that. I should work on it. Let me tell you just
Mm.
something that growing older does to you. A lot of reflections I have now is not even about what somebody did to me, but I
Yep.
see where I am falling short, where I've fallen short in friendships over the years. And I'm like, God, help me, help
Yeah.
me to be, and not because I did something big that I have this big issue with somebody. No, just little things. I feel, even without my friends telling me, I feel like, oh my goodness, they have shown me grace in this area a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, like, let me grow. So I think
Mm.
it goes both ways. We start from where Mildred said, first evaluating the situation, you know, and being honest within you what is going on. I always say you cannot deal with an emotion you don't accept that it exists, right? Accept that truly I'm
Wow.
angry, I am bitter. And that is another thing that coming back to our spiritual lives that happens. There have been times where I pretended I wasn't angry. I pretended I wasn't suffering from unforgiveness because I wanted to be seen holy. If I said that I was bitter and angry with this person, then I'll be judged. I'll be looked
Yeah.
upon like you're harboring unforgiveness, you are
Woman of
doing
God.
this, and
Mm.
so we pretend, and sometimes we pretend even before God. But
Ah,
and you go and make all this holy. No, it. I healed the moment I was able to come before God and say, you know what, I'm hurting, I'm angry. When this person's name is mentioned, my stomach joints, and it is from there
Oh.
that I got my healing.
Yep.
So it starts from agreeing, like mom says, go within and see that, you know what, I cannot pretend I'm hurting. I need to come out of this thing. And then after accepting that I'm hurting, because sometimes we, like mom said something beautiful. At times the hurt is not necessarily something somebody did something to you. At times the hurt could also be that you're angry with yourself for letting certain things happen, right?
Mm.
So you have to accept that it exists and then deal with it from there and then move on to what Nasti is saying here, which is so beautiful. We have to come to that place where we work on ourselves, because it's both ways. You, the offended, also has to work on yourself. There might have been something
Mm.
that put you in that place, or maybe not. I don't want us to always play victim in every situation. There are situations where you are not um no, like maybe let's play that. Oh, I did something. There are situations where you did nothing. Please don't carry it around that I
Yeah.
must find where I was wrong. Because
Yeah.
that's one other thing. Many times we blame ourselves for the things people have done to us when we really
Hmm.
did nothing. We
Mm-hmm.
did nothing.
Hmm.
We should, learn not to blame
Facts.
yourself when you can't, but also learn to accept when it was your fault. And in a situation
Hmm.
where it was your fault, seek grace, find out ways you can improve yourself. And mom says it's one step at a time. It will not happen overnight. But I believe that if the foundation of that friendship was right, that friend will be able to see that you are doing something. They'll be able to see your heart and seeing that you're trying to improve, you're trying to work. But it's one thing when you tell me that to show that I love you, I have to accept you the way you are, and you don't have to do anything about hurting me every time with the same behavior. That's toxic, and
I
I
really
think we should
love
really watch out for that.
I really love what you said about you're not always the problem. Don't always try to look for something you did wrong.
That you did wrong.
You
Yeah.
know, that is very powerful and true.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes, especially when you're a good person, when you truly want to do better, it's easy for you to always be like, oh, what
Always.
did I do wrong? How, what I should have, could have, would have. And really, sometimes you didn't do anything. You
Mm-hmm.
just got to move on and be
Mm-hmm.
gone from that
Yeah.
relationship. That's really what you need to do. There's no saving from it. There's no trying to fix. There's no looking within. Sister girl, you just got to move on. That's it.
And I think
Love.
sometimes too, if the fault is yours and you've done everything in your power to, to intentionally show that, I made a mistake. Can we work in this? Sometimes it's just not gonna work. You've done
Yeah,
your part, and
absolutely.
as long as you can look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I've done everything that I could, because you might be ready to uh reforge the relationship, but the other person is like, you know what, I'm in another place, I'm good, I don't want that. So you have to be ready to accept that too, because just because you say I'm sorry, or because the other person tells you I'm sorry, can I work, can we go back to the way we used to be? Sometimes I'm not at that level anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be a
Oh
friend
yeah.
to you from a distance. So it go
Hey.
both ways.
Mm.
You have to be able to accept that or do that to someone. And just one thing that, with my conversation with Chantal, that I've really learned is um expressing really how you feel to God. I learned that from her, because saying that, Lord, I'm angry, because sometimes I used to, not sometimes, I never really said how I really, like, if I was upset or if something was wrong, and I was like, Lord, I really don't like this person. I never, God knows I don't like this person, but me opening up and expressing that in front of God just cringed my body. Like, why would I even say that? But
And he
it
already knows.
liberated me so much when I talked to her months ago. I think, I don't know if it was last year. And I was like, I'm so stupid. Like, why are you hiding it from someone that already knows
The
that
whole no-
you don't like this person? Or when you see this person, something just happens in your stomach just boils. And once I completely been honest, like, Lord, I really don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know. Like, help me if is this is and that really freed me. So Chantal, thank you for that. And you
Oh,
just mentioned that, and you reminded me,
I'm
and I
glad
was
to
like,
know.
I need to mention that because we need to be honest. Even if we're not honest with our friends, let's be honest with the Lord, because
Hallelujah.
yeah, He knows it all. You know.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
thank you so much. You actually just answered the last thing I was going to ask. That what if you have taken the right steps to kind of make amends, and it didn't turn out the way you wanted? What do you do? And something I learned some time back was that just because I approach somebody to say I'm sorry doesn't mean that forgiveness is guaranteed. It is their
Mm-hmm.
choice
Doesn't
to
make
forgive
everything
me
right.
or not to
That's
forgive
it.
me. But I have to do my
Hmm.
part and do it
Yeah.
from my heart. Because
Yeah.
I've seen people say, after I've really brought myself to really come and tell them I'm sorry, you're still there holding me. No, that person is hurt and have to go through that journey of healing.
Healing.
God will deal with that person from their own side, or let me say, they will be dealing with that because they're also growing. So they, as you are trying to work on you being an offender, that other person is also trying to work and heal from being the offended.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who have healed from their offense without the other person ever seeing the need to come and say they're sorry.
Mm-hmm.
By
Thank
the
you.
time they're even coming to say
That's
they're
right.
sorry, you had long healed.
You moved
You
on.
understand?
Yeah.
And vice versa. So there are times also you are the first faster one to say you are sorry, but the person also on the healing side is not yet at that place.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's
when you take that step to make up something, don't have the timeline in your head of when and how that reconciliation has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The same way that you needed
Powerful.
time to heal, it may take somebody time also to come to the realization that they have to say they're sorry. Some people, it's years
Mm.
after they have grown up to also see that, oh my goodness, I did wrong. Why did I never see the need to say I was sorry?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
you be there,
Mm.
so it's a two-way. At times we feel that it should happen here and now, and then we feel bad, like I can't believe I actually took the time to go and say I'm sorry, and this person is still,
Yeah.
and then a second thing is the fact that you guys maybe really talk it out and the person understands you and you understand them. It doesn't necessarily mean that that relationship or friendship has to be exactly how it was. Maybe that
Wow.
thing came to open your eyes to see that maybe it's not meant to be, or maybe the season for it is over, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe the other person just has a boundary that hanging around with you would mean that that boundary will be crossed. And it's until maybe
Mm.
you come to a place where you yourself have grown. It's like I always say, if I forgive a thief for stealing, I shouldn't give them the key to my business and say, oh, I've forgiven you, here's the key. They will come back in the evening and steal if they have not yet stopped being thieves, right?
yeah,
I will help you or finish everything. But on the day
yeah,
that you stop
yeah,
being a thief, we can restore the partnership. I can't keep you in the
Mm.
partnership, the business, and you still keep stealing from me in that business just because I have forgiven you. So I think that the
yeah.
point you brought up, Art, is such a beautiful one. Anybody has something else to say in this area of, seeking to restitute, to make up, to build, rebuild things that have already been broken, or moving on? Because there's also a healthy and an unhealthy way of moving on. Can we
Mm.
talk about that?
I have something to say, Chantal. I have something to say. And what I'm going to say is simply just to re-emphasize the importance of having a conversation. Having a
Mhm.
conversation frees you from assumptions. Because
Yeah.
when you live in assumptions, then you open more channels for mistakes.
Mm.
you know so as much as, okay, you have offended someone, don't try to assume or try to, this is how I think this person should be feeling, because truly, as we have said, we are all different. We are very different in our approaches to so many things. So because we are different in our temperaments, some people, they don't sweat the little stuff. And at times you might be the one who sweats the little stuff, and then you'll be thinking, because I'm like this, the other person should be like that. Don't assume until you've had the conversation with the person. Don't assume. Conversations are very necessary. It has to happen
Mm.
sooner or later. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anybody else?
Just know
No,
that
we're good.
everyone has their own perception of what happened and
Mm-hmm.
what it should have looked like or what it should have said. People feel the way I say something is not gonna be received um in the way I thought it should have been. So I've learned, even in not even in relationship, at work, in different settings, that everyone has a different perception. So be open to that, because people understand stuff in different ways. So
Mm,
just know that you might say, well, I don't like that, but he heard something else. So always try to
Okay.
ask, okay, I'm trying to say this, is this what you understood? Or, I didn't mean it that way, this is what I said. And let's avoid texting friendship. Physical talking is the best, because texting is, I've
Hmm.
learned, it
Mm,
has
mm,
brought
mm,
so much misunderstanding in my communication. And
mm,
what's the most powerful thing in a communication, in a friendship, is communication.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
texting, I have my friends now that we've been friends for a long time. If I say something, they know that, okay, that's what she meant. It's because we've been together for many years. So they know me now, and I know them, and I know when she says this, that's what she means. So I would not misinterpret that. But if you're building something, always try to have a heart-to-heart conversation physically, and just texting once in a while. But if you're having a serious conversation, please avoid texting and call, because the emotion in your voice, the tone of your voice means a lot.
Hmm.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Hmm.
Ladies, we can go on and
I
on
know.
and on and on. There is just so much in this. I appreciate you all. You've brought really so much on this table. And I really hope that somebody has been able to see why we lose friends. Uh, and we've been able to reflect, is it me? In all this conversation, where are the times that it's been me? That is the reason why friendships are being lost or distant. And when is it, that it's the other person? We have tried to really make it clear that don't take the blame all the time. Figure out when at times it's the other
Hmm.
person. And then how do we go about it
Hmm.
from there, to build more healthier, relationships or friendships that would take us far off. I would like us to conclude. I think we've gone above our time to conclude by just giving one little tip you can give somebody who is like saying, I want to make new friends. What do I do? And is it okay,
Hmm.
sometimes in seasons not to have a friend or not to have too many friends? Because I believe we're talking about quality and not quantity here. There's somebody out there who feels like, oh my goodness, especially social media now, you see other people, it's like they have this big camaraderie of friends, There's, or even not only social media, even out there, you just feel like somebody else has a very beautiful friendship kind of thing going on and you don't. Is it what do we say? Should I now just get up and go on a shopping spree for friends? I need friends, or somebody who just feels like, hey, I'm in a season where I feel I messed up, or maybe I didn't mess up, I just grew up feel like I didn't really fit in, I didn't know how to make friends. Or in the case where Cynthia said, maybe it's me, I keep attracting the wrong kind of people, but now I've worked on myself. How do I now start building new healthy friends? Just one tip each. How can I make a friend? I want a friend. How can I, you know, start a friendship? Maybe let's just start from the starting of friendship and then building it up. From the start, do you know it's going to be a great friendship, or is it something you try and test the waters? How do we go about
That's a difficult question, because
Um,
I don't
Risk
know
it.
how to make friends at
Risk
all.
it.
So for me, it's just
all
like,
right, let me say something in that direction.
Hmm.
it? Yes, Nance.
Can you, I'm sorry, the network is crazy. Um, so to have a good friend, let me just say that since you have values, you have expectations, you want friendships that are true to you, you have to be at the right place. If you are not where
Hmm.
you think you are comfortable enough, then don't think you're making friends there. You should just making acquaintances. If you want believing friends, think of where you're going to. If your environment,
We lost you.
people who speak your mind, people who talk in directions that are attractive and that are pleasant to you. You should seek to find those kind of places where you can find friends. Can you get me?
Yeah, we get you. We
yeah.
get you.
Hmm.
Hello?
Yes, we get you, Naz.
All right. I was just saying that be at the right place.
Mm.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
Naz.
that's
We
what
see
I was
you're
saying.
having. Okay, yes, you're back. You're back.
Okay, I was just saying that you should be in the right place and you should find people who have common interests with you. That's a summary of what I would say.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anyone else? Be at the right place to attract the kind of people that you want.
Baby steps. Take baby steps. Don't rush into it. Take baby steps and know that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with steps. And Rome wasn't built in a day. Take baby steps and allow yourself, give room in your heart to get to know somebody. Regardless of what you've been through, what you had
Hmm.
to put up with, you know. So when you get to that point where you want to give it a try again, baby steps, and just fearlessly do it. Just baby steps, but going boldly. And honestly, you could still do that and fail
If
again.
I should add something,
But don't be afraid to just give yourself baby steps.
Beautiful, mom. To follow up on what mom says, that I think Nancy's trying to say something. I'm not sure if she's frozen. I think she is. Mom, you said a beautiful thing, baby steps, and sometimes just push through. After hurts, people turn to have like trust values,
Mm-hmm.
trust issues. Deal with the baggage. If not, you carry it in the next one. You'll be doubting somebody who has no reason for you to doubt them just because you came from a friendship that. And like she said, it would take time. The kind of trust we share right now and the comfort did not just come overnight. It's true that there are certain people you see from day one, you click with them and start running. There are other things that happen. And she said something that be fierce, go for it. There were times that I started asking myself, I said, many times we complain we don't have friends. But how many times have you actually reached out to make a friend? You think like they'll fall from heaven, from the sky? If you don't put
Mhm.
yourself in the place, like Nancy said,
Hmm.
you don't put yourself in that position, you don't be the one to reach out and be the initiator of things, then how would those friendships come? Even though I know we live in a time where you try to initiate friends, and people behave funny, right? It's like, okay, maybe you're trying to beg something from them, you're trying to steal something from them. you know Again, I always say, let me be the one to say that, oh my goodness, I'm blessed to have a friend like you. Let
Mm-hmm.
a friend not be the one to say, look, you are lucky
Hmm.
to that I'm even calling you my friend. You should count yourself lucky to be in my circle. you know that is a red flag right there. You understand? So I know that at times that's why people share about, because you put yourself out there trying to connect to somebody, be a friend, and all of a sudden they give up this vibe like they're doing you a favor if they talk back to you. They're doing you a favor if they actually accept you to be friends. But that shouldn't scare you from launching out. We have to put ourselves out there, but don't be friend hungry to the point where you just gather anything. Baby steps, like mom says. Cynthia, anything
Yeah, Shanti. Yes, Shanti. I wanted to say, after you've made sure you've dealt with your baggage
Mm-hmm.
and you've put the values in place and you are in the right environment and you've used the faith component as well, you just risk it. So reaching out is a risk. So there's a certain amount of risk in friendships. As you said, you might get rejected, but that doesn't mean you're a bad person. So you must continuously reach out, risk it. And mind you, if you think church is usually the best place for you to make the best friends, you are in for a shocker.
Yes, so
So, but all the
not.
same, you have to, you must risk it. Okay, there's
No.
risk in friendships.
Mm-hmm.
beautiful,
And
beautiful.
trust your first instinct. I personally, that's not my strong suit. I do not know how to make friends. The friends I have, I met them, we clicked, and I've had those friends. And all of you ladies here, except for Cynthia, whom I never knew, we just met. I'm still friends with the three of you. We haven't talked for a long time, but I know that if I call, our conversation will be like we just met yesterday, like we've been hanging out because we go way back. So if I call
Mm.
Nasi right now, we're just gonna catch up on something and just start talking, and it's just gonna flow because that's how it's always been with me. But I trust my instinct. That's a gift that I have. Unfortunately, sometimes I overlook
Hi,
it.
we can't see your beautiful face.
You guys
Adjust your
can't see my
camera a
face?
little. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you, dear.
okay. So I trust my instinct. If there's a gift that I have is the vibe. Like that's how they call it nowadays. The vibe. If I meet someone and there's something, it's I can't explain it. I can just feel it.
Trust your
So
gut.
I trust my guts. So I'm learning to trust my guts because every time I've overlooked it, it's put me into a big trouble. So I just, you know, I I don't know. I'm the wrong person. I maintain my friends. I'll say that. The ones I have.
You stay in your
You're
comfort
loyal.
zone.
Yeah, I'm loyal. Yes, that's my strongest suit. I'm loyal, and that's a big weakness for me because I'm loyal to a fault.
Beautiful girls. Esther says something beautiful here, which we had mentioned, and we would conclude by emphasizing on that. Great. She says, great conversation, sisters. Pray, pray, pray. You have
Yes.
not because you ask not. Start with praying for godly friends. And this
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of
Amen.
something I did at the beginning of this year, ending last year. I kind of searched my heart and saw some relationships or friendships that were just funny. Some I could point a finger to what happened. Some you just don't even know what happened. But it's not just as if you have
Mm,
drifted apart naturally. You just feel like there's something happening which is not. And just like Cynthia said, conversation. Having a conversation at the end of the day, you realize that there was really nothing there. And that is how at times the people that we are meant to connect with at times are the people that we are fighting with are pushing them away. And the people that we are not even supposed
mm,
to be around with in that season are the ones we are holding on to and bringing into our circle. So we should keep that in mind. At times, some of those friendships that are being attacked is because those are actually the people you should be with. It's not necessarily because they're even if you sense some of these attributes in it is actually people that will take you to your next level, people that you are meant to do life with. But then, of course, life is always fighting. The enemy is always fighting to put away the things that you need. So at times we should open our eyes to see when there are certain friendships that are fighting for, worth fighting for, worth going the extra mile for. We think we only fight for our marriages, but even everyday friendships, there's some that are worth fighting for. But again, it's without prayers, you will not be able to see that. Like I said, I did that at the beginning of the year. I was able to see that. I approached and just was honest with certain things, and things came out. But at the top of my list, I also prayed that God was going to bring the right inner circle for me. Just looking, I could see a lot of friends, a
mm,
lot of things, and I think I've shared some of these things with you. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that, like I said, friends for different categories, for different things. Even in motherhood, there's some friend that maybe what we really share in common is just in that area because we are moms. And maybe that friend will not fit in any other thing. I had to pray for each of those things to happen in my life within this year. I was like, God, I don't just want with my own eyes. I look at it, I think it's nice to connect with this person. It's nice to connect with that one and connect till we want to do connections. You go around for connections, you will connect, you know. So I brought up this statement. We let us pray, pray, pray. You have not because you ask not. Start with praying for the
mm,
friends that you need. You need friends in what area of your life? What is going on now? What is that need? Ask yourself, what is really that need? And then you pray about it. Do you sometimes when you pray, then you realize that maybe you're even seeking a friend for the wrong reason? Is it just so that you can also show that you have friends all over the place? Maybe God is
mm,
actually calling you into a season of solitude so that you can hear Him
mm,
clearly. You have been distracted too
Yep.
much, running around with friends, and you are thinking that you're fine.
mm,
Sometimes
mm,
you need that
mm.
pulling away alone. Then your eyes open up to so many things, and you're like, oh my goodness, I've been lost in this crowd, feeling like everything was fine, but it's not fine. So, prayers is really, really important. Ladies, we have done it today. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. You know what?
And Shant, let me just bring you back a little, please.
Yeah.
Let me just bring you back a little on this friendship thing. I would say that friendship is not easy, as some people think. Friendship is not easy. When I think about friendship, I think about commitment. I think about intentionality. You have to be able to decide that I want to be friends. Friendship is expensive. Friendship is sacrifice. Friendship is being there.
Mm.
You have to put in to get the result you want. Friendships don't happen overnight. You would call, you will
Mm.
text, you will be there for them, you will fight, you will quarrel, you will sort it out. Friendship doesn't come cheap. So if you want to go out
Mm.
for friends, be ready to put in everything. It comes with everything you have to check up on them even when they're not checking up on you and all of that. So don't just think friendship is easy. Friendship is hard work.
Yep. Facts, Natalie. Facts.
Rightfully said.
No other conclusion. That is it. Friendship needs intentionality. Friendship is hard work. Thank
Yep.
you, Nancy. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Mildred. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everybody who took the time to tune in today. I can't even go through this list again to call everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope that we will be able to step out there and find healthy friendships that are going to help us bloom and flourish in our everyday life. So stay tuned for the
Amen.
next live, and I know you're not going to regret it. Bye bye.
Amen.
Bye bye, ladies.
Bye.
I
Love you all.
God bless you. God bless
God bless
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.